misconstrued. And I'm sorry if you misunderstood. Not a threat to the neighborhood. At ease, I feel out of place, and there's nowhere else to be today. Fear and your love I can't leave, and we got another trick up our sleeve. Yeah, hanging out, you and me are partners in crime. Since you've been here hanging out, you and me are Bonnie and Clyde. Staring at the ceiling, my view could easily be misconstrued. I'm sorry if you misunderstood. Not a threat to the neighborhood. Yeah, hanging out, you and me are partners in crime. Since you've been here hanging out, you and me are Bonnie and Clyde. Hanging out, you and me are partners in crime. Since you've been here hanging out, you and me are Bonnie and Clyde. Hanging out. Hanging out, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hello. It is me, I. Let me get the chill vibes going on in the background. Give me a second. The calmest vaporwave mix you will ever listen to. Huh. We'll see about that, won't we? Turn this down a little bit more. Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. Amazil is not yet here. But I'm sure he will be joining us very soon. Let's see what we can do in the meantime, though, until he joins. QuakeCon's still going on. I gotta check my bank account, man. I gotta see if I got that dosh. I hope I got that dosh. Nope. $49.12. San Francisco. Oh, that. That money's either coming in today or tomorrow. They said 3 to 5 days. We'll see, man. I don't know. I'm gonna have to pay my phone bill today, and if I don't have, data, I'm not gonna. Oh, Amazil's here. Hello.
Hello. You did not even being me.
What's up?
Not much.
Well,
What
good.
is good?
Good morning. It's morning for you now.
Whereabouts?
So, how are you? What's up? How you doing? How's it been the last 2 weeks?
It's alright. You know, same as it ever was.
I got you. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get this party started. So, and speaking of, let me switch over on the thing. That Donde esta Lucy. Let's see. Character assassination. Okay. There, it's working. And let me do this and this and there. That's the right this. Okay. Wow. You know, it's been a wild last 2 weeks. Gee, what even was the page out 2 weeks ago when we last did this? I don't even know. But I tell you what, Amazil, the thing it could still happen, but I don't think it's gonna happen where we get the moment where Daisy shows some sort of regret for what she said, but Paulo doesn't know about it. It could still happen. We have 7 more pages, but from the way it's heading, it's probably gonna be the Paulo crying hour with Mike. So get ready for that for the next 2 weeks.
Always fun. Always fun.
Yes, he do be crying a lot. Mikey needs a hug from fluffy cream colored ragamuffin. Very strange. I might have to turn up my... Oh, that's why. Discord's turned down. Okay. So there we go. And no Patreon preview comments, unfortunately, so we won't know the spicy drama until tomorrow, but we are here to discuss how Abbey has been assassinated. His character completely destroyed, reduced to atoms, as it were. And we are on 2.5. We're on like the subtopic of we're on like the 2.5 of the 2.5 topic here. And this whole section, just to remind everyone, make it very clear Abbey intends to do something about it, whatever it was. I don't remember specific. I think it was just oh right, make it very clear that Abbey is going to do something about Paulo's bullying. That's what it was. Will he do this? He will do it in his brain and not tell anyone. Because that's more surprising. I mean, like, if people knew that Abbey was going to do something to him at the convention, then they would be very confused about how they knew that he was going to be at the convention. No, if everyone knew that Abbey was going to lash out against Paulo like this, like they knew it was coming or something was coming, it wouldn't be nearly as surprising. Would it have been as effective as like a whoa, you know? Probably not, but it also has led to this result where everyone just thinks he's a crazy psychopath, which of course he is. And that's just kind of the issues with all of it, right? Like the characters act, you know, irrationally with no, and there's nothing, I want to say there's nothing inherently wrong with having a character act irrationally, but this, there seems to be almost enough of an attempt to rationalize this to where you can't be like, okay, well then you just wanted the character to act rationally. How can you ask the audience to sympathize with the character like this when they lashed out irrationally and attacked somebody else for a reason that seemingly doesn't make really any sense at all?
I don't know. Like Abby's a weird fucking creature. Alright.
Ain't they all? Ain't they all? And this happens to a lot of characters, you know. A lot of people just like, they're like, why are you making this decision? Why Why would Mike go up to talk to Lucy in link play when he already said he wasn't going to do that? What was the entire purpose of having those pages where he's actively trying to avoid her, but they keep running into each other in the arcade, just for him to talk to her anyway? Why would you write this? What, you can't have both things. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You gotta pick one lane or the other, and both of them are fine ideas. Sure, it doesn't make sense for him to talk to her because he said he wasn't going to do it. And then it makes even less sense for you to build up like the temptation of it just to show that Mike actually has his resolve, like his backbone, his spine. He's gonna stick to what he says he's gonna do, but we can't trust that now. And so that's just like an example. And now we have this. So
we are where we are.
damn, Amazil just sounds so done. He's just like, bruh. These cats, man. These cats, these dogs.
Dude, I'm working on the I'm finally putting work into the double down rant, right? And this
Yeah.
it's just in context, I'm like, this is gonna be so fucking long. I don't know how the hell I don't know if I'm gonna be able to like break my biggest fear is that it becomes like witch hunt length, which is absolutely unbearably long. Like even for me who makes averages around 30 minutes for a short video. It's a short for a short videos 20 to 30 minutes. That's my thing. Yeah. I don't know how I'm gonna break this thing down because there's also so much stuff to talk about.
You can
But
split it into multiple parts. You don't gotta do it all in one go.
okay, see that's the funny thing. Is that that's a okay, so for context, I guess this is a big like aside. I know this doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about right now, but because I'm doing double down, one of the main complaints that I have with it is that it's 62 pages long, which is just insane. It's the second longest chapter in Bittersweet Candy Bowl, and for one, that's only like three filler chapters after the longest chapter in Eternal Flame, and I'd argue that really Double Down is a lot longer because for Eternal Flame, a lot of like a third of that is splash pages. Double Down, you one would argue is thankfully not doesn't do that as much. It's a lot more dialogue heavy, but on the other hand, it's just it's needlessly long, and it's got so many moving parts that it's almost intentional. It feels deliberately obfuscating all the points that it touches upon because there's like three different focuses. You got Augustus like being for Lucy wanting Augustus to find his own friend group and kind of find his own way and find happiness with other people and his own in his own age. You have Mike wanting to deal with like what the fallout of Eternal Flame and feeling guilty. You have Lucy wanting to do her independence and arguing with Paolo, and you have all this shit. And then you also have, you know, the ending bits. And I'm like, this it would work so much better if it was split into threes. Like if we had just one chapter focus on each point so that you could understand, like you could properly digest the information, because the problem is that when you have like these long bits, it's like school. If you're giving so much information out at once, that it's hard for you to for the reader, you as a reader, to process all of the information. You gotta break you subconsciously break things down into and segment it to like what you think is important, but you don't really know what is important. It's kind of why like the rants go through with a fine-tooth comb almost to kind of pick apart like what's the plot points, what's happening, here's this, here's that, this is what's important, and it segregates it so that you can properly digest what's really happening. That's how I always do it, and that's why, like, if you want to know how to, see if you want to see the fucking train tracks, like that's how you do it. Just fucking actually stop and slow it down, read it, and figure out like, okay, this is what's happening. This is what this scene's about. This is what this scene's about. This is what this scene's about. But because there's so many scenes in there, there's so many moving parts, you can't really. You're asked to like devere attention upon three things, and it also just doesn't flow right. Like the fact that it's focuses on Lucy and Augustus, and then it slips over to Mike, and then it slips back to Lucy and Augustus, and then it shows and also Jordan, and Jordan starts to become a character. Then it slips in Paolo, and then it flips all the way back to Mike again, and then it flips all the way back to and then it flips over to Lucy and Paolo, and then that's it. It's confusing. It's jumbled. It's a problem of composition, which I think is the main problem with Teshi in a lot of these circumstances. Is it's a problem of composition of how you string these scenes together, because other how you string things together to create a through line for this whole like string of events. It's kind of hard to do that when it keeps jumping back and forth between different subjects instead of focusing on one conflict and or focusing on one character and giving us like a proper line to follow. But yeah, that's just what I've been up to.
Yeah, it's a very dense chapter. To be fair, so much is going on, and I agree that a lot of this could have been split in their own chapters. You could literally just, but I guess Teshi
It would
wanted
have been
this all
nice
to
if we
take
had
place on the same day, which is why it's all one chapter.
Yeah,
Like
it
she
could,
wanted to
but
give like a day in the life of what both Mike and Lucy are going through at this exact moment. But yeah, both things are like such an intense emotional conversation between each character. It's a lot.
but then again, it doesn't really need to be on the same day though. Like
I know.
having Mike's talk with Daisy, like that could have been a different chapter on its own, and and that's kind of what I want to point out is like if you segment it to its own chapters, like you're able to digest all that information and be like, okay, this is so that's what happened here. It's one problem that I kind of talked about in one of the chapters in the Paolo show, because I mentioned how in the prom chapter, uh, forget what the Total Recall, like I mentioned how like I completely forgot that that was where the Daisy talk with Augustus is from, and it's understandable why. It's because you have this whole overarching plot. When you think of Total Recall, you think of, okay, the prom chapter. That's what it is. It's about Paolo going to the prom with Rachel and all that jazz. You don't think about Augustus, and that's kind of the thing that I worry about with Double Down, and I'm sure it's going to happen with a lot of chapters, is that because there's so many parts thrown into it, you forget what's where and what things happened, and it kind of leaves it ambiguous. But it also kind of makes it like it also kind of gives Teshi an out, because say she, I don't know, um forgets that we resolved some of these things, like like Mike being told that he should think for himself and be stronger and deal with his feelings and communicate. Oh, I forgot we talked about that, but we get to do that again because the audience didn't remember all this thing, because or why is Daisy is like being like is going down the slut path, and which again I appreciate, but it can seem like a big jump if you don't remember that stuff, and it's hard to remember that stuff because we don't put enough emphasis on it in the chapters that they're in.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, it's like if in Eternal Flame we jump back and forth between Mike going through his breakup with Sandy and then also, whatever the hell Lucy was up to and why she ended up going out the house to stand at the tree.
yeah, It,
It's too much. Like, I mean, we even like even when Paulo gets roped into it for a little bit, briefly, as he's cooking dinner, he's talking to Mike. It still is focused on Mike, right? It's not like, oh, now it's the Paulo show a little bit.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
it's focused. This one, yeah, I feel like she had a lot to say, and even she was like, yeah, it just kept getting longer and longer. Right here, time for Agent was the big one. As the chapter went through the editing process, each segment was revised and revised. It got longer and longer. Hopefully, I don't retroactively add another in case it accidentally becomes longer than Eternal Flame. Uh,
Yeah,
well, no, I mean, like, I get what she was going for because there
yeah,
is somewhat of a through, like, it kind of transitions. So, you start with Lucy, right? We start with Lucille, and then she's hanging out, and then Mike shows up, and then we start following Mike. Like, think of it like a one shot, like a one take, and it
no,
follows
yeah,
Mike, and then Mike kind of goes away or something. Wait,
yeah.
hold
He
on.
does. He kind of, yeah, he goes away, and then
And
it
then
kind
it
of
goes
cuts
right
in
back to Lucy
afterwards. Yeah,
again, yeah. And then there's that weird scene. I think this scene just exists to because we already kind of established that Augustus is hanging out with the seniors, right? Because we did that earlier in the chapter. This is just to show that the reason why Lucy and Paulo are walking home together.
yeah,
But you didn't
yeah. But
really
that's
need to
kind of
do
like
that.
the
You could have just been like, oh yeah, they just walked home together, I guess.
yeah. That's the other thing. It feels like a lot of like it feels a it feels a lot more contrived once you break it down to like what is actually like important, like when that's which is what we always try to do in the rants, is like what is the actual thing, what is the actual purpose of a scene. um I made a point of this once where I'm like, the worst thing that you should ever do as a writer is pose the question to the reader of why are these characters in this situation? Because the reason is because the reason at the end of the day is always these characters are in this scene because, or this character is here and this scene, or no, the question is why is this situation happening in the first place? And the answer at the end of the day will always be because we need these characters in here to deliver this message. And it's a weak ass fucking thing. It's always weak, but that's why you get creative and try to disguise it. And here it doesn't feel right. Like imagine if like had one chapter where it's like the first bit and it's focused solely on like Lucy encouraging Augustus to hang out with the seniors, and maybe we have like a little bit where they're fucking like having fun, they actually go out and do a thing, then they'll have a little play date or
And
whatever,
that's
and
what
they don't
everyone
talk.
thought was going to happen. Like they thought
Yeah,
the next chapter was going to be that. Like we were actually going to get to see Augustus hanging out with them.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
because
that
that's
doesn't
fun.
happen. Yeah,
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 no,
we don't get that. What
yeah,
was the next chapter? It was track meet. That's when we get James and the
yeah.
Femboy 5. Yeah,
I will always refer to them as the Twink team.
the
No,
twink.
like that's
Yeah.
what they are. That's all they are. But like imagine you have that and then the next chapter like you can still be artsy. You can still have like a transition. What you could do is have the ending bit like be like a fade transition to the next chapter. And then you have this kind of through line where it's like an inter-chapter through line which we never see. Like we have chapters that come in like the day after occasionally, but that's it. And it just feels it just detracts from the overall message and what you want to do with things. Um
Are you sure about
the
that?
Oh.
yeah, I believe so. Like or at least in the case of Double Down, it definitely did because like imagine like you have that bit where you have the or if you wanted to you could have the or actually maybe or you could start with the Mike and Daisy thing, because which would make thematically a lot of sense because the last big chapter before this was Burnt Bridges, which was a Mike chapter. And so you could focus. So moving the focus to Mike wouldn't feel so jarring, it would fit. And then there we can move on and then have Mike because here's the other thing, right? The Mike and Daisy tap bit of Double Down really doesn't need to be there because really at the end of the day what it feels like in terms because yes there's quote unquote character development, but I've been fed that lie enough times to never take that shit too seriously or even bite that bait. But at the end, like the only other time that Mike ever interacts with any of the other characters that are happening with like the Lucy segment is at the very end where he just pops up and talks with Paolo. And it's like, "Hey, Paolo, how you
Oh
doing?"
yeah.
So that Paolo can feel guilty, like, "Oh, I was gonna
You know
totally throw
what's
you under the bus."
crazy too? I don't know how much time passed between Paulo and Lucy splitting off and then him running into Mike. But
Yeah,
but if they live in the same neighborhood, then that means they must be in both Mike and Lucy's neighborhood. How did Mike not
yeah.
hear all of that yelling? For someone that has like sensitive hearing, you think he would have heard something, like some sort of ruckus. He would have been like,
I
"What was
mean
all that
that
yelling about?"
that
He
I
fucking
can
killed him,
hand
dude.
that I can hand wave away as yeah, it's probably like happened a bit like later. Maybe he wasn't there. And I mean, then again, why didn't Paolo fucking overhear Abby and Daisy's blow up in his own restaurant? Like that still confounds me. I don't know how
I
the fuck he didn't
Hey, look.
think to
Hey, look,
hear
man.
of that.
He doesn't have Mike hearing. If Mike was there, he would have heard it.
He's not deaf either.
Dude, he really does just break Mike's neck here, doesn't he? If you look at the
It's
stream,
It's silly, you know. It's
he's
the
dead.
slapstick.
Yo, he's like, anyway, and then Mike's rest of Mike's body flips around. All right,
Yeah.
well, we got completely off topic. We're supposed to be talking about Abraham. Now we're talking
Oh,
about Michael Ham.
I almost kind of roped it back by talking about the Abby and Daisy bit, but you know,
Let's see, we're in a bit of a situation here where I don't really blame either of them. Abby cannot deal with Daisy not backing him up anymore and calls it off, which is now completely destroyed with this most recent chapter where Daisy basically falls into making fun of Paulo for Abby's benefit. So once again, new chapter destroying everything. But Daisy is very understandably not going to defend how Abby handled, or should I say manhandled, Paulo, which of course you wouldn't, girl. He was written to be totally 100% in the wrong. Sweaty worried emoji. Jasmine fans rejoiced as there was a reason to bring her back. I know, right? Like, geez. What was the last chapter she was in before this? I don't know. Million years ago?
no, that was the garbage day one, I believe. But I mean, I think I made the joke in the last stream. I'll say it again. He's a fucking dildo, and she's a narrative cockwarmer. They're meant for each other.
Well,
It's dumb. It's so I fucking hate it.
I can make
Hate
a
it so
separate doc
much.
about how I feel about that, but I'm trying not to stray anymore here. It's at least nice
Tell
that
us.
Abby was able to
It's
find a group
confirm
to let
my
him in.
ideas. Damn you.
Otherwise, his ass would have probably been ostracized for loudly breaking up with his girl from the cafeteria. Yeah, it is kind of a
Yeah.
strange. No one stopped to look at him. There was like, oh, I guess they did. These guys are looking at him, but
Yeah.
uh, I
But
don't. Yeah,
you
it is kind of a
that's a
crazy thing to happen, right? But I feel like this group of people, like everyone thinks they're just weird. And everyone's like, look, you stay away from the Mike and the Paul and those guys. Like Daisy, like stay away from them. They have nothing but drama. They're crazy.
yeah.
I
I
bet
mean
these
they
guys
heard
are
what happened to Rachel.
outcasts. Well, actually, no.
But
Everyone loves Mike. That can't be true,
yeah.
but.
Yeah. I do. It is a weird point that yeah, I don't think anyone else really comments on Abby breaking up with Daisy. Like you don't get everyone's like 2 cents on the matter. It's just kind of like a thing that happened. You
Yeah,
don't
it
have
gets
like
swept
Mike
under the
being
rug
like, "Oh, this
immediately.
was the
It's like,
wrong thing" or whatever. It's fucking
yeah,
whoa.
there's very little fallout from it. Abby and Daisy have one kind of conversation afterwards about it, and then it's not like really anything. And not even Jasmine says anything, even though there's just this massive like blowout. Like, you think they would have heard something?
No, I mean, who knows how big this stupid place is, but like just in the regular, like because like Sue got wind of that, and Mike and them, like they played games together. Sure, that wouldn't it probably like put some like friction on their friend group or something? Like what? They never touch
I
on it.
I have not. Let me see. Back to no, that's not it. Encounter. Where the hell is it at? I have not been to school for quite some time, but I assure you, if
Yeah, that's
this
right.
shit started happening at one of the tables, everyone would notice. And not only would everyone notice, the teachers and staff would get involved.
Yeah,
This
where's the
would not be
TA?
allowed to happen.
Where are the aides, man? Where's the student aides?
Like, yeah, if they're yelling,
They're supposed
hollering,
to like intervene in this shit.
he grabs Mike's scarf, like that would have been detention for sure. Like, he would
Yeah.
have been sent to the principal's office like that.
To be fair, there that and also the mic smash. Both
Also,
of
how long
those
is his fucking
really should have
scarf?
fucking had something. But
Yeah, no, for sure. And like nobody says anything about it, and they're yelling at each other very clearly because Mike's holding his ears. Uh, and then that, and then he, let me see if I can find it. Uh, he slams his fists on the table, and they're still yelling at each other, and then he walks off and he yells like everyone would have heard this shit happening
yeah,
before. Love these streams, keep up the good work. Thank you, Kataru, I appreciate you. That rhymed. Hooray. But yeah, it just, oh, they're whispering, but you never really see the fallout of this, right?
yeah.
I don't
No, and
know.
it may as well never have happened. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Also, these are weird lunch tables because usually lunch tables, and just from my
yeah.
experience, they usually have the chairs directly attached to the tables. I don't think I've ever been to a school where the lunch table, and I've been to a lot of schools. Believe you me, if there's anyone that is an expert on public schools, especially in the American public school system, it's going to be me. And I have never really seen any lunchrooms where the chairs are not connected to the tables. That's just my
Um,
observation. It's not that big of a deal. It's nitpicking. I guess it's
yeah.
technically possible, but who cares? So anyway, Jasmine X Abbey starts up again. Actually, you know what? I'm a Mina X Abbey truther. Let's be real.
Oh, I feel I am a Jasmine's other friends don't fucking exist. I
No, how could you
will
say this?
never I will never remember or care about which one is Mina, Tiff, or whatever.
Tiff
The
is
only
not her friend. Cassidy,
no, no,
who's the big fluffy hair one,
no, that
and Mina,
I don't
who's the big rabbit eared one.
look. I still don't care. Look, the only
And then
reason I
this
remember
one.
Tiff, the only reason I remember Tiff is just because I noticed that she took a fucking spot in the relationship flowchart over, I think Tess or so I want it, or maybe Rachel. There was some like kind of important side character that got taken out of the relationship chart, and fucking Tiff is in there. I'm like, what the fuck? Who the hell is this bitch? Are you kidding
Oh,
me?
Tess is still in there. I don't know who. Maybe Kazuna or something.
No, no. I'm trying.
This is
You
the.
know,
I mean, I can try to find the original relationship chart. Let me see if I can find that for you. See, Teshi. Then we have to put everyone's name in there. Let's see. Uh,
I know Carter got removed, which is upsetting for
Here it
me
is. Okay.
personally, but
Flower
that's more
Girl's
for you.
removed.
So,
Kazuna was removed. McCain is gone.
yeah, I think it may have been. Oh, wait, go back. Wait, no, Madison is. Yeah, Madison's there.
Yeah, Jasmine took
Stacy got
the
put in here.
Jasmine's not in here anymore. Oh no, she's over there. They moved.
Yeah, but yeah, fucking dumb. I I think it may have been Carter because I always give props to Carter that he was like the one character. Him
Why?
and Liam were the only characters that kind of fit into selling the idea that oh, people only like Lucy because of her looks. Like they carried that plot point. Otherwise, no one else ever does that. Not a soul.
Well, spaghetti. It's literally spaghetti.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. Why the long oh, here we go. Girl from the cafeteria. Oh, right. Just one more thing. The consequences of Paulo's actions, more accurately, his inaction. Rachel figures Paulo is officially through now that Lucy's back, and Lucy isn't even with him. Poor girl. Now I just really have one more chapter to cover before we can get back to focusing on how Abby feels about how the narrative treats him and all. But this is really important. She looks very she looks big here.
Oh.
She's a
Eh,
boofer.
Oh, it does that a few times with a few different. It's oddly like all the locker scenes. They all just look weird. Either they are look ginormous or super short next to each other. It's uh,
I think it's like the perspective thing, but I think also everyone kind of has a general idea of how big lockers typically are. So when we see them next to something that a lot of people generally know how big they are, it's a little bit stranger. Her fur grows out when she's nervous, or puffs out rather. Yeah, that is true. And on user. Paula
okay,
breaks.
but wait, I'm sorry. I get that. But I just want to point out like if you can go to like the beginning of the guest of honor, like I want to find the original, but I can't. I can like
The only
I
where
don't
she
know where
shows
the
up to the
hell it
door.
is.
This one. Oh my God, she looks
Yeah,
completely different. She
yeah,
looks like
but
a
she
different
also
character.
she looked well. That's the thing. Like that was also like an edit. Before that, she looked fucking ginormous. Like I made the joke in the rant that, or in the original rant that they made her Gigantor because she's supposed. Cause that's the thing. It's like she's supposed to be really big, not fat, but just actually
Is it that
big. And
shot or is
I'm
it
like,
the one on
what
the
the fuck?
next page?
It was that shot that like stood out to me before because I think also a part of it was I think Baby Paolo was also like a little shorter too.
Wait a
But
minute.
yeah.
Wait. Oh shit. Let me pull this up. Yeah, I think this is a redraw for the book, so this is not gonna help us. We might be able to use the way back. I don't know.
Yeah, that's yeah, I just remember that because I saw that like because that was still one of those chapters that came in like right after I like stopped reading, but I was still like looking at like bits and someone showed me that. I'm like, oh my god, that's a big fucking daisy.
Here, we'll go back to 2021.
It's a huge bitch.
Damn boy, she big, she thick boy. Yeah, but like it looks like a completely like she's, and I know she's supposed to be kind of nervous here, but still, it's like the
Yeah.
contrast is. We'll find. You know what? Let's go to this one. Let's see.
Um, Actually, a better one, even with the
Yeah,
redraws,
she's like,
is the
she's
one
so
from Total Recall where it's
total
Rachel.
recall.
Actually, that's the other one that I like to point to show like
My
the
God.
size difference gets really fucky.
She's way fluffier here. Like here, she's kind of smooth. Teshi was still getting into like to the new art style, but she's like Simpsons yellow here, and here she's like tan, like cream. I don't know. These are
Yeah.
not the same
Well,
color values.
well, yeah, I think well that's just kind of a that was a stylistic thing. Just because like the white balance is changed in each it seems like that yeah, it just seems like the white balance has gotten more yellow as the oh as the comics gone on,
Yeah, I'm not
which
seeing any
yeah.
change off of archive, so I don't know. But if anyone has the original page, then slide that on into my DMs. Let's see. Also, let's see if Kazune on. No, Kazune on hasn't checked.
Wait, can you put up the go to Total Recall, like the first two. I think it's like the second page or something.
This one?
There, no, there. Go back.
One?
Yeah,
She
that
looks
one.
about the same size as he is, and she's supposed to be way smaller.
Well, I think I want to say that was the one where she looked like there was one. I want to say that was the one, but there was a special. Yeah, back then. Yeah, yeah, that is a redraw. You gotta look at the archive for that one if you can.
Yeah, we'll pull up the Internet Archive. Hold up.
I know I'm like derailing, but I
Yeah,
just
no, it's
this is-
fine. We got the
this is
time, we got
another
the
thing
memes.
about-
Here, 2021, right?
criticism of the redraw. Everything's right is wrong. Everything you know is wrong. Up is down, left is right, and short is long.
No, this is the same on. Yeah, I think the redraws might have come out before people started snapshotting the pages because she looks normal there.
Gee.
Yeah, it might be
It's-
Jover, but
it's-
I know what you're talking
I
about.
want to say that I still believe that that was also fucked, because like even looking at the bottom, like that's definitely not the height that they
Oh
were.
yeah, look at
that
that
panel.
perspective. Yeah.
I swear to God, she looked like a munchkin. I swear it was a thing. I can't fucking remember.
Looks like their sizes change in between. Like Paul's a little bit bigger here. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, let me keep this open. Let's see. It's just, Paul breaks the silence again to flippantly reject Daisy's birthday invitation. It appears he didn't check on her after her public breakup. I mean, they were sitting right next to each other at lunch, so. Daisy reminds Paul that she isn't going to have a boyfriend at her birth. She's going to have. Wait. It says she isn't going to have a boyfriend at her birthday anymore. You can't fathom not having her best friend, who for some reason hasn't been talking to her. And may I remind you, fucking berated her at the lunch table. Sorry, taking a deep breath. She can't fathom that her best friend won't be there either at a time where she'd really need him. Wait, is this why
Look, here's
Teshi?
the-
Is this why Teshi made this one? Because you said for some reason hasn't been talking to her. What?
What do you mean has made what?
The newest chapter, which is supposed to explain why Paula wasn't talking to her, even though it was kind of evident that he's not talking to her because of the thing with Abbey, because he didn't want to cause any friction with that, and he was scared for some reason, even though he could probably kick Abby's ass.
No, the reason I understood it, or for Palla's passive aggressive behavior and like berating Daisy and all that jazz, is that he felt betrayed. Like that's how I viewed it.
Yeah.
Like he got assaulted, and instead of like him getting any support from his friends or feeling like, hey, like he gets called he's told that he's the problem, and even though really no one really told him, like other than like, yeah, but no one like sat him down and was like, hey, like cut the shit, like do that. Daisy really didn't do that until like afterwards.
Here's another minor thing. So everyone sees Paulo into the restroom and Abby joins, right? Then Abby leaves, and then almost immediately after, Mike joins, and he sees Paulo like this. The only person that came out of the bathroom was Abby. The only person that, I mean, you could say, oh, well, they just didn't happen to see Abby leave the restroom, but would he not have excused himself to use the restroom, and then he's like, oh, I'm back, and then Mike enters, and you see Paulo like this, and then, like, he didn't put two and two together that maybe something might have happened between the two, or he just... I know Paulo lies about it, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Mike here is that he knows what happened. Like he doesn't need Paolo kind of excuses it, but he understands like, okay, like yeah, this thing happened, or he knows that something happened, and it hurts, but he doesn't fucking. But I don't know. It's also gets kind of that idea also gets kind of undercut by the fact that, and I
Oh my
fucking
god.
hate that.
Look how tiny
Paolo,
he is!
I hate, but like fucking right after this, I think in High Expectations, I want to say it was High Expectations or Love Again, but Mike is like, oh, I know more about surprise attacks than you. I'm like, the fact that he's still like, he, he's the one person who shows a concern for Paolo getting hurt.
I
And then
still
immediately, the moment that like he's gets all moody, he's like, "I don't give a shit about the fact that you were hurt, and you're talking about your fucking paranoia with Abby because of a thing that I already know happened, and I'm the only one who cares and knows about what happened. But fuck it, your pain is not as important as my pain."
Yeah, I
I
mean,
hate Mike.
yeah, I think he was avoiding her. In my mind, he was like trying to extra show that he's not interested in her, so he doesn't get attacked by Abby again. That
Yeah.
makes sense, right? That's why he like goes out of his way to say things out loud that he knows would be indicative of him not being interested in Daisy. We went over that the
Yeah.
last stream.
Yeah, it's an overcompensation
Yeah.
for his prior behavior because it and this is the one where the like they're just kids argument kind of comes into play because it's like how is he supposed to know like how to really understand how to properly like deal with this situation. He's like as far as he knows, he's just been doing the same shit that he has been doing his whole fucking life. How is it? How can it be wrong now? Why is it wrong now? Oh, well, if I can't be who I am, then I will have to. Then I guess I'll just be someone else.
Let's see. Okay, so we're back at this page where Abby is treated like an obstacle by Daisy, but hold on, just hold on a second. Why is Daisy apologizing? Why is she put in a position where she needed to apologize? Yeah, see that. Well, I mean, as you know, Agent Chimendez has already stated, Daisy's whole thing is like de-escalating conflicts, right? So she wouldn't like be like, "Oh, Paulo, you need to apologize to me." Which, by the way, he kind of does. Like he's so fucking horrible to her here, dude. Like for no reason, for no
Yeah,
reason.
yeah, I really hated that bit. I fucking
It
as
only exists so that this happens. By the way,
yeah, it's stupid. I fucking hate it. But to clarify like why Daisy is apologizing, my reading of it or my interpretation of
but
it
of
was just
character,
that.
yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, Anon, like
He doesn't even
that's sort
like
of the
ignore her for a whole day, does he? Or no, he's been ignoring her for a few chapters actually. That's right.
yeah. There's because there was
But
the
why now?
back to school episode.
Why is Paulo gonna buck up to Abby now after being pissed scared of him for several chapters?
I don't know. Like
It
his
because
mood
that oh I
swings.
think because Lucy came back and everyone's emotions are like running super high right now, right?
Yeah. Well, just to answer like or respond to Anon's comment that it's out of character for Paolo. Like, I kind of called it when this happened that this is like the whole golden hour to, I'd say, high expectation. Nah, because he kind of got out of it after. Thankfully kind of got out of it after Daisy's birthday chapter. But, like, that moment it's why when Golden Hour came out, I called it December 2 because that's how it really felt. It felt like an assassination of Paolo's character, and it was something that I always worried about with Paolo, which is that Teshi wanted to develop this character to be kind of a more fleshed out person, be more caring or whatever, and it just felt weird. So the only way, so what she was, but what she ended up doing was essentially making him into she was basically trying to fit Paolo into a Mike-shaped hole. Because if you think about it, that is what Paolo kind of becomes in Love Again. He just becomes like Mike, where he's passive aggressive, he's bottling his fucking problems, bottling his emotions until he can throw it at the people's face like a caustic acid. It's the typical fucking Mike shit. And that's why, and so yes, it is out of character for him,
Yeah,
but it's
here.
not for Mike.
Let me
It's
let me find a
him. Yeah.
specific page that proves what you're saying is true. Like, not that I don't believe you, but I'm just gonna show more evidence, right? Let me see if we can
Yeah.
find it. Let's see. It was another shoulder. Here we go. And then we get to this one, and let's see. Paulo, I don't want to make things complicated. Lucy, stop. You're talking to me, not Mike. I don't do awkward. Really? Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
there it is. And look,
Like
it
like that's
just
always been the one thing that's the one thing that I've learned to appreciate about Paolo is that he's it's goes back to like his behavior in what the fuck is the
you want to talk about Witch
the
Hunt, where he tells Mike to
no
stop being
no
stupid, which
well, that too, but I want to go even further back. What was the first chapter of the Paolo show? I forgot. It's the one where he fixes Daisy's relationship. But
are you
but
talking
like
about
the
you're
I'm,
talking about casting? No, it's the
oh, what am I doing? I have the fucking archive right here. I
Take Heart.
fucking
That's
laid
the
it.
one.
Yeah, Take Heart. Fucking it's like when people like criticize like his behavior and Take Heart and how he handled that situation, I'm like, no, that's perfect. Like this is exactly what Paolo should do. The moment that he sees that, hey, there's some developing bullshit and there's some bullshit drama developing in front of his eyes, he's like, dude, this shit is fucking stupid. No, fucking stop being stupid. Be happy with what you have. What are you doing, you dumb motherfuckers? Just be.
Because
What's
this
wrong
just
with you?
turns him into a hypocrite,
Yeah, it's.
which he is not known for being. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe you can,
Yeah.
but who?
Well, I mean, the excuse that I guess I would give, and I think the comic tried to give, was that again, like after he got after he got throat checked by Abbey in the bathroom, he's like, I guess I have to reevaluate what I've been doing because obviously what I've been doing is led me to this place, and
But
I
he
can't.
immediately goes back on it. That's the thing. So he learned nothing.
Well, no. Yeah, well, that's the way. That is the thing. Because that is the right thing, because he was overcompensating for it. He leaned too far into, like, I'm gonna be, like, I guess I will just be the guy that doesn't fucking deal with his issues. I'm just gonna be like fucking Mike. And Daisy, like, showing guilt and apologizing to him and saying that she was actually kind of in the wrong and she should have like helped she should have been there for him. It makes him be like, wait, actually no, the thing that I was doing, like, I was also being an ass, and it was also wrong for me to like act the way that I did when I overcompensated
Dude,
and you lashed out at her.
this is such high levels of insanity and gas. I hurt your feelings and didn't ask what was wrong. And it's like, yeah, what were you supposed to just keep letting him harass Abby forever and be like, yeah, I mean, it's whatever. You've been mean to Abby, but I've been mean to you? How? How have
It
she
was
been
just
mean?
this is just because of the call in golden hour.
But that wasn't
Because
mean, really. She was just like, you gotta start being nicer and apologize to him for how you've acted. And obviously, Paulo didn't want to do that because he got throat checked. Uh,
also like this is another thing. Again, rewrites fucking suck ass, because remember, like, some of those parts, like, that was rewritten. But essentially like she remember like that those 2 pages weren't there or whatever. So like her jumping to being like you're the reason that everything's bad. Maybe we should have fucking done this that like she kind of jumps to that like very fast because he
Yeah,
was trying to tell her like what the problem was, but she didn't want to hear it, or she just kind of shut down.
she did the
Like she
one. It wasn't that big of a
yeah.
deal, and she was in the right, to be fair, at least a little bit. And now it's like, and now this is an
Yeah.
even further gaslight because she's blaming all of this on Abby, even though now the actual context of all this happening is that Daisy was talking shit about Paulo behind his back. So it doesn't make any sense
Uh,
anymore. What do you mean? What are we talking? What is this?
I
Well, don't worry.
hate
I will have a
retcons.
video out about why none of this makes any sense anymore because of this new chapter. Uh, yeah, I
I,
mean it's like this whole document is like out of date now because of that one chapter. It just throws all of this shit out the window. Oh, none of it matters.
uh, God, I love retcons and rewrites. It's so fun.
And by the
It
way,
makes it really rewards the dedicated viewer. You know, it really makes you very happy to have read this from the beginning and be here for over a decade to watch everything you know change before your eyes.
wait, hold up. Let me put a poll out here. I'm gonna put a poll out for everyone. And I want everyone to answer honestly.
Let me use bathroom.
Yeah, let's see if I can spell correctly. There. I'm putting the poll up. Everybody go ahead, take a vote. What do you think about knowing what we know now, or with this most recent chapter? Do you think that this chapter here, because it says intermission, but it's going to be inserted as a chapter, do you think this helps these chapters around this area with like, let me pull it up again. Do you think it helps like with stuff like, you know, table for one and clean slate, model girlfriend, love again? Do you think it helps, you know, it benefits and makes those chapters make a little bit more sense, or makes them better, or makes them stronger, or do you think it hurts them? Do you think that it actively goes against what is being said in these chapters and what the implications originally were? Because Teshi is already admitting by making this chapter like years later that this was never originally her intention. And so you can't say that, oh, well, she always meant for it to be there and just never got around to it. She is actively recontextualizing this without like working everything else around it to fit with this new narrative that she wants to give. Uh,
Oh, I'm back.
welcome back. Like, I know Daisy uh, is known to apologize even in situations where it's not warranted, and doubles down in other ones where she definitely shouldn't. But like literally a day before in this comic, she got hollered at by this guy who continued to be unfazed by Daisy until just now, and she's apologizing to him. Something to think about anyway. And by the way,
Well,
I don't think this necessarily justifies this most recent chapter because this still doesn't make any sense, right? She is not apologizing because of what happened in behind closed doors. She's not apologizing for this. No,
yeah,
this is
because she
never going to get
can't.
mentioned. Uh, she's apologizing because Abby, she perceives that Abby like shanghaied her into, you know, or coming between them, and she allowed Abby to come between them, even though that isn't entirely true. Like this whole situation's kind of fucked on both of their ends. Abby is justified to a certain extent, right? He's justified in his frustration. He is not justified in the way and how he acted upon his frustrations, right?
Yeah,
It's
I
literally
guess.
December, right? Mike is justified in his frustration, but he's not justified in his actions. Like on how he deals with that frustration.
Yeah, and that's always been like a problem with like all the characters. But like I just want to like I want to
This
excuse Daisy's apology here because I do feel like this this isn't like a bad scene like by any stretch for me.
No, not
Like
at
I don't
all.
have a problem. Like the thing with Daisy in this bit, right, is that she just understands like I think that this is her being weighed down by her own guilt, the fact that she feels responsible for breaking up not only like breaking up her like relationship with Abby but also now like Paolo. And it's like I think she said it best. It's like there's I mean I think the writer Chimendez whatever, um they mentioned like yeah this is daisy kind of Daisy's kind of alone now. Like she's like she lost her best friend Paolo, who she'd been who was her first real best friend since elementary school. Like she turned her back on him, and also like she also lost her boyfriend. Like it's a very touching moment, and it shows like she has the biggest heart. And maybe she doesn't have to apologize for it, but there's still that guilt within her that she kind of feels like responsible, that she let this happen, she let it go get to this point instead of like being. And in a sense it is Abby's fault, because Abby should have like made it clearer to Daisy like hey, this is a real problem, and I hate that this is going on or whatever.
But he did,
Or,
didn't he? That's what happened in the Golden Hour. Like,
yeah, but that's the thing, that is the thing, it happened in Golden Hour. That's it's not like any other real. You don't have like big moments where Abby like fucking any other and no other point is Abby like taking it like showing real genuine concern. He doesn't do it until it's the Mike thing again, right? He doesn't fucking make show that it's a problem until it boils over. He doesn't fucking communicate that he has an issue until until it becomes too far.
I think Abby also kind of gaslit himself into believing Daisy didn't care. Like I mean, he says here he doesn't talk about therapy. He takes care of Molly by himself because he feels like he's too much of a burden, and that's nothing
It's
that
like which
Daisy has
is
ever said. He's just extrapolating because Daisy isn't shitting all over Paulo's head about what he's doing. He's like, oh, you just agree with what he says then. Um,
yeah.
but not making a statement
Silence
doesn't.
is violence.
Yeah, it's not exactly true. Uh, you shouldn't have to. I don't know. It's just a fuck shit situation, right? But I mean, he kind of put himself into his own feelings with that. Uh,
That what?
he no, he put himself into his own feelings with being frustrated with her, right? Like he was intentionally withholding like this is a problem, right, from her because he just assumed she was just gonna take Paulo's side in it.
Yeah.
Which, given how things have gone through in the past, uh, like her nature of wanting to de-escalate things, which really just escalates it on his end. He's like, oh, you're either with me or you're against me, right? If you're not my, if you're not on my side, you're my enemy.
Yeah. Only a Sith deals
Yeah,
in
only a
absolutes.
Sith deals in absolutes, and that's what he is right now. But
Yeah.
that's like,
Uh,
I guess the therapy hasn't been helping with that at all or whatever. So whatever, right?
no, yeah, that's what I've always fucking mentioned. Like, it's especially in Golden Hour. I'm like, hey, Abby, how much are you paying for therapy? Because whatever it is, it's too fucking much.
And you could also say this is a little bit of Teshi lampshading the fact that she's not showing his therapy stuff anymore because she's just like, well, I don't really know what to do with that, and I don't want this problem to like, I don't want to keep, putting effort into showing the therapy stuff for it to not actually resolve the issue, and I don't want it to resolve the issue because I still have more I want to say with this character, or I still want to make more drama out of this. So it's like, well, why even do the therapy to begin with? Like, there was a point in time where it felt like Teshi really wanted to do the therapy route to actually help him, but then later decided, it's actually much more dramatic if I just let him continue to be an angry goblin and attack people.
I feel like it. Well, the way I view it is like it's. I'm gonna have to come up with a term for it, but it's getting too. It's over preparing for an argument that isn't happening, right? Because
Yeah.
the argument, if it's the fucking argument that I got when I explained like the premise of January, which is like, oh, but therapy doesn't always isn't a sure thing, it doesn't always help. What if this and that and the other thing? And you don't want to fucking argue that because it's like, okay, well, that's a non-argument. I can't do anything against that. I don't know what the fuck to say. I guess I can't point it. It'd be destructive to show that it's a 100% good thing, so I guess I'll just make it a nothing. It just doesn't work because that's somehow better. It's like, God, no, no. Besides, that's not even the worst part. The worst part is what the this document is about to get into. a,
Uh-oh.
a bit that I fucking hate. I
If we
still
ever
hate.
get there,
So
man.
fucking hate it.
It's
No,
not you, though. Yeah, keep going.
no, go. Like,
Uh, let's see. What
scroll.
did something about anyway? And then she's talking, and then heart about to explode, and then
Yep,
he
there it
has,
is.
he has a
Fucking
lot of fingers.
God, I fucking hate that. It's so fucking dumb.
It's kawaii animu.
It's fucking it under. Okay, okay. You know what? I've never actually put this into a fucking video, so I'm gonna put it
Oh
now.
yeah, it is out of
Unspoken
place.
Unspoken Rule fucking sucks. Unspoken Rule is the greatest example of Teshi. The way that I realize that it is a three-way kind of pie graph. Imagine BCB is on a three-way pie graph. On one side, it's good. On the other side is great, and on the other side, and on the third is complete and utter dog shit. And Bittersweet Candy Bowl is right at the fucking center and constantly jumping around
Oh, you don't mean
on
a
that
pie graph. You mean
pendulum.
a Venn diagram.
No, it's a pie graph because I like a Venn diagram. The surface area is way too like big. Like you have the overlap of being good and great. You have the overlap of being complete dog shit and great. No, it's a pie graph because it's only one of the three. It can only be one of the three, and it's just so close to being great. It's so close to being good, but it's always fucking dog shit. And this scene, I fucking loved this scene. When I covered this chapter, I'm like, oh my god, this is well, I'm like at first like, oh wow, this is like a actually pretty engaging and sad scene. I like really like this, Daisy's like showing emotion, showing she cares that Paolo's not alone. Like, oh, we can see like, oh, Paolo is starting to feel like this. And it's like, oh, it's hey, this is very serious. This is a very good scene. I like it. I can feel Teshi raging over to tug at my heartstrings, and I you know what, I think I'm okay with. I actually like this scene. And just as I'm about to say that fucking heart about to explode bullshit happens, and I'm like, oh my fucking god,
We
you
didn't really need
ruined your
this,
own
did we?
scene.
We already like
Yeah,
kind of see it on his face and like the
yeah,
colors around the edges and the way he's
it's
talking.
completely fucking unnecessary and just destroys the tone that this scene was setting up. It completely undermines its own fucking message. It destroys the entire environment that it's fucking setting with with the emotional balance of this scene. And it destroys it. And what's worse, This chapter does that 3 fucking times. It does that again, that same shit with Rachel, where it's like, oh, we're getting the breakup scene. It's a big emotional bit. Oh, it's gonna hurt. It hurts so good. And then she just does. And then she's gone. And then Paolo becomes a brick wall and he just walks away. Like, it's over. I'm like, oh, really? 2 pages? That's how much you're gonna fucking break up this stupid fucking this amazing
No, I
fucking
can't
relationship?
believe this
Fuck you.
happened. Why did he do this to her? I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's what I want it to be. Like that was the part of the rant. I'm like, oh my god, no, poor Rachel, it's not fair. And wait, that's it? Come on, I can still see there's 3 inches left in this knife. Tashi, fucking twist it. What are you doing?
Oh.
Fucking make it hurt. What are you doing?
Does
Fucking kill me. What
Mike
are
have
you...
Lucy PTSD here?
Yeah, that whole thing. My quote for that was, "No one will be seated during the riveting dodgeball chapter, all segment, where the obvious thing happens."
Look
And
how
then
many
it does it a
Lucys
third
there
time.
are. There's so many of them. How did she do that?
Oh,
How did
that's
she
not the
came back to 6 Lucys?
like. That's not the part that I want to talk about. The part I want to talk about is the ending bit of this, where Mike and Lucy have a talk, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like, this is great. We're having Lucy fucking tell Mike, like, what her problem is. She's like, I get it. I know you're... No, go back. Before that, you stop. It's like, she's like, I'm not... She's like, this is what you wanted. This is exactly the thing that you asked for. I'm not doing anything. You want me out of your hair? Well, that's fine. You want me to fucking do this? I'm doing that. And I'm going to take this seriously. And I'm not going to let you work this anymore. I'm like, this is a really well done scene. I really like this. We're having serious moments between the characters, airing their grievances, showing their emotions, and being a person. It's awesome. And then it gets undermined by the fact that Lucy flips off Mike and is like, I don't fucking like you anymore, okay? Like, okay, Jesus Christ. It undermines it again, because now it's like she's just being sassy. Like, oh, look at her. Haha. Stupid Mike. Instead of just letting the fucking scene speak for itself. Instead of like letting the emotions ruminate and fucking be the crux of the argument, instead of being the crux of the scene that the people digest. You have to have this bit here. You have to have this ending joke. You have to have her do that.
She needs her girl boss moment. You don't understand. The fans want to see the Lucy girl boss moment.
It's so...
There
it's
you know
fucking
there is a
dumb.
subsect of fans that saw this page and they were like, this is my favorite page. This is my new favorite page.
I believe... You know what? I wouldn't blame them, because like that would have been my favorite too.
Oh my god, look at
except that
this.
they matured.
Look at this comment. Situation resolved. Thank goodness that didn't get dragged out like Paul and Daisy. Boy, who's gonna tell him? Wait, should I tell him?
It's 7 years. I hope they're in a better place, man. I really do. But
There's not
also,
enough
there's the
characters on
fact that
Twitter to
it's the
describe how
30
much I
times.
hate Lucy. Okay, just apparently. Damn. Which way, Western man? Am I right?
Like the fact that it did that 3 times in one. Jesus Christ. The fact that it happened like 3 times in one chapter is just egregious. I hate unspoken rule.
Do you think the
So
unspoken
fucking
rule
dumb.
was to not do the thing 3 times in one chapter?
The unspoken rule is don't go to the fucking carnival. No.
Yeah, we gotta go to the carnival and Lucy has to tell Paulo he'll just get over it and then hurt and then abuse him physically because she said she wasn't gonna do that anymore.
It's just okay, because I'm also looking at the rant right now, and it's like, there's a good point. It's like that whole chapter, all it is fuck all that character development. This is why Rachel got dropped. so that Paolo can start moving on with Lucy, so that's why this is happening, so that we can view the ships. Is it Paolo x Lucy? Is it Paolo x Daisy? Which is it? What's the real drama? Well, this is the direction of the fucking comic, because that's how this comic moves now, is by shipping characters. That's where we are. That's what we love, and god damn it, I fucking hate it.
See, Daisy poisons my water supply, burns my crops, and sets a plague onto my house. I mean, she says Abby won't change her mind about Paulo, apologizes 2 more times, and is pleased by a suggestion that Paulo will change the shift. Oh, and with no apology for vociferating
Vociferating.
at Daisy during lunch. You could just say yelling at Daisy during
Regular.
lunch. You don't have to be like, me when I pull out my thesaurus.
Gerund or present participle. What? I just had to look it up. Oh, shout or complain or argue loudly or vehemently. Okay, that I guess.
We learned something new
That's
today,
it.
so good.
I'm never
Yeah,
gonna
I
fucking
mean,
use that.
yeah, this is like a big guy. Like, why didn't he apologize, right? Like, what's the deal with this? Like, he yelled at her, and now he's like, okay, I guess I'll go to your party then. Yeah,
You
I
know,
know,
like,
I get it. Look, Teshi is anything but consistent in her inconsistency.
uh,
Well, 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 if it isn't the consequences of Paulo's inaction. Oh, look how
no,
small she is. She's
no,
even
we're gonna talk
smaller
about
here
this
than
more.
ever before. She
Yeah,
shrunk.
yeah. It's this. I don't.
You don't want to look away,
I hate.
Amazil. Do
I
not
hate
look at
this
the
bit. I
things
hate this so fucking
in
much. I
which
hate
you
this so
just
fucking much.
it's not in your brainstem. You can look away.
Look,
Paulo
I
is
mentioned.
hmm
I I I want to bring attention again to the Paolo show, because the ode to Rachel, like, bit, it perfectly exemplifies like why Rachel's so fucking important. Her relationship with Paolo is so fucking good, and it's so great. And now, like, this fucking uh it's such a terrible way to fucking end this relationship. It's so fucking
No, you don't get it. We
it's such a
have to
big
get to
letdown.
the Paulo X Lucy now. I mean, didn't he already say he was
You
just waiting
can
for
do that.
Lucy to come back? Like
No,
he
but
already
here's
like we already knew he was just gonna dump her anyway, or like he was only hanging around. It's anticlimactic.
no,
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's just like let's sweep this under the rug because now I want to get on to the date night with Lucy and Paulo at the carnival.
no, but like the way that I fucking put it, or I want to, let me see if I fucking have it here. I know I fucking talked about this, but like I fucking hate it, because like this should have been like such a big. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna save it. Let's see what they have to say first.
All right. Paulo is
Oh, they
startled
don't
by
always.
Rachel, who goes on to remind Paulo how, in playing part of the womanizing jerk, he totally forgot about her, and it doesn't matter because they were going to call it off once Lucy came back. Oops. The way
That was never
Paulo
agreed upon.
Yeah, well, I mean, Paulo said it. Like I think she didn't want to accept it as
Okay.
happening. The way Paulo lingered on Daisy after she left versus him immediately running to his class after talking to Rachel really drives home how much this sucks for Rach. She's strong though. So see, Paulo has a life outside of Abbey. For instance, he got to have his worst bag fumble of all time. Yeah, well, and I'll bring this up. I'll bring this up. So here on the very first page of this behind closed doors, Teshi said, I was already planning Lucy's return. I got so fixated and excited about bringing Lucy back to the story, I got impatient. As a result, I kind of neglected the storyline. So I think this is like another casualty of I just want to get to the Lucy stuff. So we're just gonna take everything that I wrote and just throw it under the rug. We're done with it. It's time to move on to the Lucy show. And this is another casualty of this, right?
Yeah, but like, and I really, the problem is that it's another thing that like BCB has a problem with, is that it'll set up stuff and then it doesn't remember like its setup and how it was supposed to be paid off, because because like it's such a big time gap between those things that you kind of forget. But like here it is. here. Though, but because if you look back on that fucking on Small Fry, like
How can she
the
do
I
this?
the whole premise of what it should have, how it should have ended, was a big thing. Was clearly set up. Like, the way I put it is, it should have marked a big turning. It is one of the best. It is and their inevitable breakup should have been a turning point. It should have marked a big life-changing moment for Paolo, where he is sad about what he's making Rachel feel, about how he's making Rachel feel, but he's unsure about his own feelings. Maybe Rachel makes the decision for him and breaks it off, and Paolo realizes how hurtful his behavior is, and that he can't play games with people anymore, and that it's not fair. It could be the moment that Paolo turns a new leaf and becomes more mature, and in seeing that, Rachel can let go, taking some solace in knowing that he is a better person now. But instead, we got this. He turns into a fucking like the he's Rachel's talking to herself again, and Paolo's talking to himself again, and she's talking to the wall. This is it makes him, it completely destroys like the character development of Paolo, where he's in his relationship with Rachel, he starts to feel more mature. He actually gets more serious about relationships in a way that he hadn't been with anyone else. He becomes more understanding of their feelings and how his behavior is, how him flirting with people isn't good. And he didn't need fucking Madison mouthing off at him to fucking understand that. He should have fucking known that. Instead of all that character progression developing and culminating into this heartfelt front stab where we all see this breakup coming and we all have to accept and take this bitter pill, but knowing that it leads to a brighter future and better fucking development, instead it just destroys both of these characters. Because now Paolo is learned nothing from his relationship with Rachel, and Rachel's impact means absolutely fucking nothing because she didn't instill anything into the boy. She didn't teach him shit. He has done nothing, and it's this one scene completely destroys the entire Paolo show because now none of that shit matters
What do you
because he never fucking learned.
what do you think about this? Someone made some changes here. If you look at the stream,
Uh,
I'm not gonna save it. I learned my fucking lesson from last time, but I am gonna post it in the BCB Discord. But what do you think about this person's dialogue changes?
I've seen you with other girls, so like, yeah, here's anymore, right? Lucy's back. He's late. You were, hey, like, her. No, it's okay. I'm not too big. I think like it really should have been like, uh, like I don't know. I don't. I haven't done any like thought into like rewriting that breakup, other than the idea that like the way that I would have done it is just have it where, yeah, like similar to this, where Rachel's like, you're doing this, and I was like, oh, it's not like that. It's like it's like, yeah, like he recognized, how Show Paolo recognized, like, yeah, it shouldn't have been like that. I don't know if I'd say that I'm sorry if I upset you recently. Like that's a bit too ambiguous and unpersonal. Like like if I like if you tell your girlfriend that you are in the doghouse to say I'm sorry if I upset you recently, that's fucking dumb. Like no, fucking explain to yourself, dumbass. It's like, but the I wasn't thinking, and her saying like you weren't thinking. I like that bit. It's neat. But anyway, yeah, fucking God, I hate
How could
what he did with Rachel.
how could Paulo not think Lucy was interested when she stops her train of thought to compliment how cute he looks.
Yeah.
Like I don't get it's so it what a fuck shit bullshit ass dude.
Yeah, I hate the
Paolo and
fucking
Lucy
ending.
should have done it. They should have done it. There's
No,
literally
no.
no reason outside of Teshi didn't want that ship to sail that it didn't happen. They should have done it.
No, this scene sucks. This part also really sucks because it also kind of it. I think she like. I swear she looked at Mike when she like took him out on the date
No, she's Mike
before.
has already
But
walked like all the
yeah,
way down. Wait, no, maybe you're right. Here, let's take a look. Let's take a look.
but I did like fucking. I I, I just really feel like it really undercuts that whole bit.
Yeah, no,
Like
Mike is
this is
already long
just
gone.
such blatant shipping. Like, and it is the thing that I always hate, which is plot development through shipping. Like it's so fucking lame
Do you know
and
what this comic
unnecessary
is? You ever read this
for
comic
shipping.
before? Like, damn, bro. And my God will do it again. He finally approaches Lucy and gets ready for his worst night ever. Worst night ever so far.
Well, it would have been if it weren't for the retcon, the the last part of Double Down. Ugh.
Wait, that's such a weird thing for her to add on to Double Down. I don't really know if we needed that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay. Again,
Oh boy, here
all
we
right. I'm
go.
gonna spoil my own fucking rant
Yeah.
here, but like, that's the one thing. The whole rant is gonna be structured around like breaking apart like the composition and all these little things that lead up to this, all the little things in this chapter that really should have been segmented to its own chapter, and it's well, actually, that's
It should have been
one
an
thing. Like,
intermission at
no, like
most.
I'd prefer if it wasn't in here, but like the thing is like right.
It's so
So the ending.
weird. She can't actually show anything,
Okay, so
so why put it
here's
in here?
the. Okay, I just want to spoil this, right?
Yeah.
Because my ending thought, like my final thought when it came to Double Down, was that in the end, like bitching about the composition and how this chapter is structured is one thing, but it's not like that big of a. Is it really something that should be worth kicking that much of a fuss over? Like, yes, it should have been split into three. Yes, we should have spent more time like developing and showing out and fleshing out some of these scenes and ideas, but that's not the case. And you know what? That's still okay. And I'm like, by the end of it, thinking, I'm like, am I just a hater? Am I just looking at these chapters to find something to hate? Or am I just are these real grievances, or am I just looking for problems to point out? Because that's also very destructive and not a healthy way
What
of
the
looking
fuck
at
is
things.
this? Either flashback or Mike exploring his sexuality. Please send help. What about this was like, oh, this must be Mike exploring his sexuality.
Well, probably because like the fadeaway had Mike and Paolo in there, so they may think that this is like
Not
Mike
really. Mike walks
thinking. I
away
don't
and
know.
then this.
Oh yeah, but I
At
don't
what
know.
point would
Look,
Mike be
people,
in a
look,
room with
reading.
Paulo and then these lights are on a mirror?
Look, I don't mean to demean you guys, but reading comprehension across the board isn't uniformly that great. All right, uh, but I just want to point this out. Like this is the. But again, like I'm worried that this was that. Like I'm just being a hater. I'm just pointing out like things that doesn't really matter just so that I can be angry and but there's no real problem with Double Down in those segments. Like on their own, they are completely fine. In fact, they do things that I've asked for, that I've wanted for in the comic. The characters explaining their situation, airing their feelings, and fucking learning from them. But I'm like, so is there a real problem here? But is this even worth making a rant about? And the answer is no. No, it's not. It's really not that bad. And then you get the last bits And I'm like, oh,
The-
thank God, Teshi. Thank you for laying this fucking easy ass bait right in front of my face. Fuck you. You had me for a second, having an existential crisis. Now I have an actual real fucking problem that I can point to with this bit. How fucking dare you? Who the fuck do you think you are?
APK
God.
Master, how you doing? So this person commented in all caps, "Oh God, here it comes." Do you think Paulo said that right before this page happened? Do you think he said that? What's clever? Dude, everything Amazil says is clever. Let's see. What is it? Yo, the people that are like in the official Discord are not ready for this reality check, right? That's why everyone was freaking out. They're like, "What?"
Oh. No, I was
They
ready.
fucking-
But here's the thing, it's
Yeah, but you're not in the official Discord now, are ya?
I'm like, you mother.
No, Lucy, why did you do
I
that?
I fucking. The other problem with this part that also, like, me, and it's also why, like, I haven't started working on the damn writing of the Double Down script until now, even though, like, um, Burnt Bridges was like was last year, um, is because the I feel like if I like it's hard to criticize that bit without just like I kind of shot my shot too. I kind of blew my load too early when it came to Burnt Bridges,
Whoa.
because in that one was where that was the whole hard R argument, and it's like I pretty much broke down like why like that's such a fucking stupid awful thing to bring up into this comic, and it just ugh, it
This
destroys so much arguments. And
this person's name is Orgasm Donor.
oh, how nice. I think that means they're a cuck.
But it certainly doesn't sound like Lucy's
Oh,
first time
Sammy.
was especially enjoyable for her.
Wait a second.
They
Sammy's
did.
still here? Oh god, no.
Wait, what?
No, the name I recognize. It's fine.
They did not have sex, by the way. This was not sex.
Yeah.
I don't know why everyone thinks they did not have.
Yeah.
God, I don't know how much I can go into this, but they did not have intercourse. That did not happen. You can rest easy knowing that this did not happen. I'll tell you what happened. All right, they started making out. He touched her boob. I refuse to believe that Paulo just, without anyone touching it. So. And if he did, that's really pathetic. That's really sad. So I think she got a little bit handsy too, and then so there you go. But they did not have sex. There was no intercourse. There was no entering. It was all on the outside. It was all above bar. Because I'll tell you this, if that had happened, like inside her, there would be way more panic than this. They would be freaking out. Paulo would be freaking out. She would be freaking out. Like, this isn't Rachel where they obviously they can't have babies because one's a dog, one's a cat. But it would not. It's not. It wasn't that, right? Let's be real. What was that? I saw. What? Why did this message get deleted?
You're right. They probably would have reacted a lot more crazy about it, but they couldn't because this is a retcon. Because
this is not a retcon.
Yes, it is.
It's not. How is it a retcon?
It was a retcon. It was a retcon like this. Not even. This is a reinforcement of a retcon that happened in that Carnival chapter. Because how is her making out with Paulo to put her on the same level as Jess? How?
No, well, they didn't have intercourse. They didn't just make out. It's very clear that more stuff happened, right?
What is the one thing Jess did with Paulo?
They she got him drunk.
and he lost his virginity.
Yeah.
That's the
Oh,
implication.
yeah,
That is
but
the
I'm talking about this
and
scene. He didn't lose his virginity here.
no, no, but they also had sex. That's the implication. That is the
It's
reason
they
why it's
didn't
framed this way.
they
That's
no they
why
you
it's
can't
like
show
this.
Paulo's thing out and his juices. You can't show that in this comic. Okay, maybe
Mm,
Teshi has like a secret page somewhere where she did that, but it's not here. No, they didn't have intercourse. Okay, they got handsy with each other. She touched his tra-la-la a little bit too much, and he why are we talking about this? This is a very weird conversation. Let's move on. We're supposed to be talking about Abbey right now. We're talking about literally everyone else. Uh, so let's do that. We're done talking about whatever the hell happened at the end of Double Down. Hmm. Let's see. Sorry I shifted gear. Now let's actually see that variety in Abby's perspective. Sorry that I shifted gears to Paulo for a bit there. But I figured if I really wanted to emphasize Abby not thinking about anything besides Paulo and Daisy, I need to actually show examples of Paulo having other stuff going on and having visible conflicting emotions when it came to Daisy and Abby. Hopefully it was sufficient. Now we are back to Abby and more specifically times where we got more of how he felt about all of this besides angry with a capital A. At Jasmine's suggestion, Abby takes up the invite that was never actually revoked from him to Daisy's birthday. Why? Well, let's find out. Okay. For all of Volume 6, Abby's character appearances, interactions with other people, etc., more often than not centered on how much he despised Paulo. Towards the start of Volume 7, it seems we're finally getting a side of Abbey that isn't about how much he hates that darn Somali. Sue first suggests that Abbey is gunning for Jasmine to do a fuck you to Paulo. Abbey denies it and goes on to say that he did crush on Daisy from the start, but this time they had no underlying feelings for Jasmine besides friendship. He even goes on to say that he and Jasmine have interests that have nothing to do with Paulo. Sue reminds him that he didn't have to come to his ex's party, but he actually wanted to and took the opportunity Jasmine gave him. Like Daisy, he doesn't like the way things went. Yeah, turns out Abby didn't feel all that great about publicly breaking up with her. Sue reminds him that he's got a friend in her. Maybe he'll finally move on from uh
no shit. No, that's an
oh
intentional editing part. It's
oh
like maybe he'll move on from. Yeah.
still cropped out because he pisses me off. See,
Uh,
I want to do a collab with AgentChimendez where we just shit all over why David sucks.
oh,
Dave, you know David's awful. You
I
can't.
believe he's stupid, but he can be a force for good. I swear.
Not
See,
anymore. He's a force for annoying and cring.
I did find his. Let me double check that because I think.
Abby
Remember?
reiterates his point of view. Paula's backlog of girls and Daisy might be the next one, however temporary. Abby is shaking like a Polaroid picture, which apparently you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to shake Polaroids. He's beside himself, looking stressed as he asks, doesn't she realize how bad he is for her? And Sue reminds him that he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. He looks taken aback at the thought of not worrying about it. Following their breakup, Abby worries for Daisy's well-being, even if it's misplaced. Sue once again tells him that it didn't have to be that way during his relationship either. Yeah, I mean, Abby still has that "I must protect all women" attitude, right?
Oh, whammon.
Yeah, if she wait, no, all women are queens, yeah.
I want to highlight that because that's like I I fucking miss that Sue. Like that bit with Sue telling Abby like it's
Yeah.
not your life that her life it's not your life to dictate now, is it? And it wasn't fair back then either. Like, yeah, there we go. That's the fucking Sue I know and love. Let's go. Fucking what fucking calling Abby out and seeing beyond the bullshit. That's what Sue's supposed to be. like fucking liking everything, like fucking seeing like, hey, being rational and shit. Not, I hate that she's become Lucy's defender. That
Yes.
doesn't actually do anything.
And she
Oh, it's so fucking
and this new
great.
chapter further destroys Sue's character by turning her into an unreasonable bitch, but you know, it's neither here nor there. Um I will say one more thing. You are absolutely right that she became a Lucy simp, and here's more proof of that. Where, okay, so in this, and I know people are gonna say, oh, well,
Oh
it's different
yeah.
because of the dynamic between, you know, Daisy and Augustus was different, but clearly things have changed. However, here she's like, you don't have the right to dictate what other people do with their life. If you know Daisy wants to be with this person that could end up hurting her, it's not, you know, you're not, it's not your place to, you know, stop her from doing that.
Yeah.
And then here she doesn't, Lucy does the same shit. She's like, no, you can't be anywhere near Augustus, and meh, 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 meh. And Sue says nothing about it.
Well, the point that I would point to for this was more that when Sue was like getting up about Mike being there, and it's like, oh, you want me to deal with him? Oh, but I'm like, fucking shut up,
Yeah,
Sue.
but I just mean like the hypocrisy of, oh, she's only gonna, you
Yeah.
know, step in unless it's Lucy, which I think is why a lot of
Yeah.
people who don't like Lucy is because everyone just lets her get away with being a huge cunt to everybody, except for the one time where someone actually, you know, put her in her place by, which was Mike, by screaming at her and calling her a bunch of horrible things. Uh, but I mean that's really got nothing to do with Abby. It's just a, you know, observation about Sue. She's I will say every character is consistently inconsistent when the plot demands it.
Yeah, I mean, I've made the joke before in like Witch Hunt that everyone they all share one brain cell, and it's that was the one time where Sue got to have her brain cell, and and it was really nice. I really loved it.
That's
Just
yeah.
uh
He took the opportunity to glare at Paula before walking away, pensive
yeah.
emoji. Jasmine asks what's wrong. When Abby doesn't cooperate, she lets him know that this angry Abby era is not celebrated at her table. Fucking based, honestly. Jasmine's so based for that.
Oh yeah, I freaking high expectations. That is the one thing I was like, well, for one, like reading it, I'm like, oh, sweet, we're getting like a full bit. What is it? Oh, it's fucking Abby. Oh, oh, well, that was just a nothing. Oh, wait, no, we're focusing on Abby, son of a bitch. But I do like, I will say, like, this chapter, if the one good thing that kind of came out of this, and kind of good thing, was that it did make Jasmine more of a character. It really did like show her, because like the problem I had with Jasmine, especially up to that point, was that after her breakup with Paolo, she just seemed to be very kind of overly bitter towards him. She's like she was shitting on him, calling him immature when she like immediately after they broke up, like they had the garbage day chapter where she and Abby bonded over their hatred over Paolo, and she started shit talking him behind his back. I'm like, oh, that's so. I'm like, this is just feels wrong, and
How does
high
she know about his
expectations.
dad?
Uh,
When did Jasmine ever know about what happened to Abby's dad?
I don't know. It probably happened
When
in
did
the.
she find that out?
I don't know. Maybe they talked about things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of
It's,
an important conversation to have. I mean, but
but yeah. I mean, it's
this is just
whatever.
the same conversation
Uh,
Sue had with them. Why are we doing this shit again?
oh, yeah. I wish someone would point out that every single time that Abby keeps fucking this fucking problem happens. I fucking talked about this so many times. I'm like, uh, we had this happen before, we've now had this conversation twice, and Abby still hasn't fucking learned his lesson. But to finish my thought on Jasmine, like this whole scene, I really like it because, especially with her saying like, "And what if he's not that bad?" You know, like he really isn't. And like, yes, thank you, Jasmine, because this is her actually like feeling like a character. It's like
She has the brain cell.
she understands Paolo because she's been in a relationship with him. She knows like the good in him because that's what sold her on him. Like that's there you go, Jasmine. You're an actual kind of character. Thank you. Except that this doesn't matter. Although, and one final point was, I made the joke at this part because this seemed to like sink in with Abby, and I was like, yeah, it ends up making good case for Paolo, and it seems like Abby accepts it, which makes sense because Jasmine's like the last female character that actually gives a shit about him anymore. So if he disregards her, he's just fucked. He has no one, and he has no reason to be in this comic anymore because he is a narrative dildo.
Yeah. Also this right here. Well, if he's wrong, then what? Obviously he's upset. If he was wrong and Paula was actually good this whole time, then he tanked his relationship for nothing, right? That's why he's mad. His ego's getting in the way. It's like I couldn't
Although
have tanked it for no reason, right?
I will say, like I did, but I made a fucking response image for that specifically. I posted it in VC text if you want to check that out. It's like
He has a savior
if I'm wrong,
complex.
then I'm and you're what, Abby? An asshole? An overbearing self-righteous? Oh, I would have gone with hypocrite, but all very good answers.
Uh, yeah,
Because yeah, that's the thing.
kind of. Trying to do the best for everyone. Yeah, he's got a savior complex. He's like, no, I must protect. Paulo is evil.
Yeah, I mean, I would also kind of describe it as a martyr,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
going
he's
up.
not gonna like die on his, he's not gonna die
No,
for it.
but it's the idea that you are willing to like it's the idea of self-sacrifice in order to accomplish what you feel is right. Like that is what he's been doing. Like he's put his own self-worth like through the floor to like feel like he has to like be right in order to feel right. He would rather destroy his own relationship than accept that he's wrong or his ideas are wrong.
When did Everyday Life come out? Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know.
Wait.
I've never seen this, so I'm gonna.
Alright, I'm not sure. Alright, we'll jump to this in a second. In the year of our Lord 2018, we finally really get something that lines up with old Abbey. Abbey was only able to act so audaciously because he truly believed he was in the right. But when even Jasmine doesn't agree with him on Paulo, he can't handle how awful his behavior was. The fear that he's becoming his father amplifies. He can't be wrong because if he is, he's turning to what he fears the most. Oh yeah, I guess he is turning into his dad.
Yeah,
Um, Jasmine gives him a healthy reminder that you have to take time for yourself, and that includes letting things go. Abby can't change whatever happens with Paulo and Daisy and is making himself miserable. This doc is already pretty long, so I'll stick with one more example. And no, it's not timeout because that chapter is all about addressing the conflict between Paulo and Abby. What I'm focused on right
thank
now
you.
is Abby's feelings with the conflict was still ongoing. So I believe Everyday Life is supposed to be one of the BCIs that is still canon. For some reason,
Uh,
it was removed as an intermission. Uh, I don't
they do that a lot.
yeah, it just doesn't make any sense because there is actually information in here that is important. I don't remember when this came out, what year this was in the comic, um,
Uh,
but it's essentially what she's getting ready to say here. See, this section accentuates Paulo leaving because he locked eyes with Abby. Forgive me because I will have to crop these in sections. Abby's wish for Paulo to just leave Daisy alone is backfiring because Daisy continues to reach out regardless. Let's see. We start to get into the meat of Abby's logic. He genuinely thinks Paulo is playing some sort of mind game and can't fathom why nobody else has caught on. And in another reference to old Abbey, he is worried about the possibility that he's wrong and that his actions up until then would have made him a monster. He doesn't want to bring Jasmine down with his concerns and opts not to elaborate on them. So wait, was this before or after Paul? Okay, so obviously he's avoiding her now. He's...
This
So
would
he's
have
like,
to be between Love Again and Golden Hour.
you mean Golden Hour and Low Again? Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
yeah, but he's still like he's still having that internal, fear that Daisy is now thinking about him all the time. Uh Despite him trying to avoid her. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I feel like this should still be in the comic, but whatever. So you're playing some soccer. Abbey having something else going on. He is a supportive big brother, big smiley face emoji. Besides that, Abbey is still contemplating things, and he's clearly conflicted. His doubts about his conviction make him wonder if he really is wrong, and for the time being, he feels if he just had someone back him up, maybe he wouldn't overthink it. And there you go. I know I showed other chapters, but if we'd just gotten something like this, his struggles and conviction, we'd have a much more compelling conflict between Paulo and Abbey. My previous examples are the ones that I said should have led up to Guest of Honor, but this is one that works perfectly post Guest of Honor, but was made far too late and was relegated to optional bonus material.
Yeah.
But it's still also not really enough.
Too little, too late is running theme here,
Yeah.
sadly.
Let's see. And well, this new chapter intermission is too much too late. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Recap. Make it clear where Paulo took it too far. Accentuate how detrimental Paulo's rant to Abbey and Take Heart was before Guest of Honor. Make it very clear Abbey intends to do something. The conversation Abbey has with Daisy prior to Scenic Route should have been shown before Scenic Route. It's true. I mean, but the issue, but that problem right there, that is something that is not just an Abbey issue. It is something Teshi consistently does throughout this comic. She consistently locks important character development behind flashbacks and doesn't show you till it's either too late or at the exact moment that the character starts taking action. Not a great way to set your story up. Because she wants the shock factor, right? It's not, whoa, crazy shock factor if everyone knows it's coming. But it's also not a very well-designed story if you can't build up to it. And people, like, you can rise the tension up, right? You can let people feel the tension mounting. You don't have to just slap them across the face randomly to get them to feel something. Now, one of those things is easier to do. It's easier just to slap someone across the face rather than build up the tension of the slap. But
I call it a backstab.
Showed more variety in Abby's perspective. Everyday life showcases Abby's reasoning, his anger towards Paulo, and his concerns on whether or not he is actually in the right. There are examples that already exist within the comic that could have better balanced Paulo and Abby's conflict without heavily skewing it in Paulo's favor. It just comes down to timing and placement.
Wait, did you read the Let's Recap?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what this was.
I thought you just read the last bit.
No, I said make it clear where Paulo took it too far. Accentuate how detrimental Paulo rant and Descartes was before Guest of Honor. So remember, this is basically showing Abbey have some sort of internal dialogue or monologue and like showing his rationale on why he's going to do something about Paulo and that he is going to do something, right?
Yeah.
2, make it very clear Abbey intends to do something. The conversation Abbey has with Daisy prior to Scenic Route should have been shown before Scenic Route. So they're talking about the scene in Golden Hour, the flashback scene at the Burgertron. So basically show those things happen instead of having it be a flashback. People need to see these things before it happens. Now, Paulo would have still been acting wildly out of character. Like, he would have been... It's like, all right, imagine this is like Paulo's character, like this is the nice part, or like this is the nice part, this is the bad part. The scene in Burgertron would have been. I should probably just do this as like an MS Paint thing. It'll be easier to explain. Is Paint not? There we go. I should probably open GIMP. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We're gonna do this real quick. So think of it like this. My argument here is that Paulo would still have been out of character, right?
Mm.
How do I change the thickness? I don't know anything about
Yeah, they changed MS Paint a lot.
Alright, we're just gonna open up GIMP. I don't know why I didn't go for GIMP to begin with.
Oh, you should be using brushes, not the pencil tool.
It's alright.
Alright.
Alright, so think of it like this. This is way too thick. That's what he said. Nope, that's white. So think of Paulo's, like, this is like the breadth of Paulo's emotions, right? So on one end, you have nice, and on the other end, you have like his teasing side, where he pushes
Naughty.
buttons. Yeah, naughty. This is what the scene in oh no, I don't wanna do that. This is what the scene in at Burgertron would have been like. Okay, you ready for this? Oh, good. It would have been like that, and it would have just extended off the screen to infinity, and then that very end over there, that's where Paulo would have been, like, his attitude, his personality in that Burgertron scene. It's just way beyond like his normal teasing. It is like actual malicious. I'm just being like a 1980s, high school movie bully, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, we talked about that before. It's
Yeah.
like, it makes no fucking sense. Like, realistically, what should have happened was, Paolo should have stepped in once he heard, like, Abby yelling at Daisy. That would have been a cool fucking chapter, is if, Abby blows up on Daisy, and we see Paolo react to that. Like, either he steps in and defends Daisy for him, or for Abby, and is like, hey, or is like, hey, what's going on here? Everything okay? You're making a ruckus or some shit. Or maybe that's where he gets his introspection, where he's like, oh, no, what am I doing that's causing this in my friends? Oh no, I'm in doing this bad. Maybe I should change my behavior. Like, fucking. It really should have been handled differently, and it does make it makes Paolo's character that bit. It's why I call it like December 2, because it just retcons the characters into being worse than they really were, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like, but Teshi does that all the time. It's like, all right, well, I have to stretch this character out to like justify this drama thing that I want to have happen, right? You can't always, and I've said it a million times and I'll say it again, you can't let what is the most dramatic thing that could happen dictate every story move that you do, because then at that point it's like chaos. There's no groundedness at all. And for someone that supposedly wants to make the comic more grounded, they're not doing the best job at it. So if you're not going to make it actually grounded, then why change it from what people already really liked to begin with, which was kind of the more slapsticky, fun, open storytelling.
Yeah.
This last
I
one,
mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, the problem is, and it goes into like the second part of the recap, which is make it very clear Abby intends to do something. The conversation Abby has with Daisy prior to Scenic Route should have been shown before Scenic Route. It goes back into what I was saying about Double Down, and that it's a problem of not fleshing out scenes fully. Like, you should be able to work the angles and understand it. Like, flesh it out, spend a bit more time on these things. If we're gonna, like, fucking, we've gone to this point where 30 plus page chapters are like the norm, right? And so why not like spend take that time to like work out a good like conversation and air out these ideas, work through them, and maybe better set up so that you can better show what you're trying to say, how these characters are feeling, and so that these when these big blowups happen, when the backstab comes, when the backstab comes, it's not a complete surprise. It's like, okay, there was something brewing, and instead of here where it's just, yeah, it's just out of the blue. And it's also fucked up because the last time that Boy Toy, yeah, there's Boy Toy trapped. Yeah, I just want to look at, yeah, I wanted to look at the archives because, yeah, the last time that Abby and Paolo really interacted other than Boy Toy was, when Paolo got in a car crash and almost died. So, I mean, yeah, good on you, Abby, for throw punching the guy after that. It's great.
Yes. Hold up. All right. Let's see. Show more variety in Abby's perspective. Everyday life showcases Abby's reasoning, his anger towards Paulo, and his concerns on whether or not he should actually in the right. I feel like a lot of that was already points, like the previous 2 points, show his reasoning and his anger towards Paulo. That's like, points 1 and 2. But his concerns of whether or not he's actually in the right would be a good thing. That would actually be a really interesting concept to explore. Is there a part of his brain that's saying, hey, maybe this isn't right? Maybe that's the part of his brain that sort of develops over his therapy sessions where he's like, my therapist said this, that, and the other, and now I'm starting to have doubts about how I feel. But he's still not like convinced enough to like actually go, to not go through with what he's planning. Um, maybe maybe you can
Or
show
if you're
that
going
his
to,
fear of becoming his father is overpowering the his conscience saying this is a bad idea.
yeah, like what we what it should have been, because like going off the execution, going back all the way to Guest of Honor, which is what this like document's about. The what that scene I guess is supposed to be is just how it was it should have been like Abby being overcome with emotion, letting his emotions get the better of him, and thinking something is more than it is. And if we could have seen more of that, if we could have gotten more perspective onto him in that chapter, maybe we could have seen better. Maybe this would have been a lot better. You know, maybe we'd be able to rationalize it just that little bit more. It wouldn't have made it right, but it'd make it like understandable, which is the whole problem with Abby and why it is a big character assassination.
There there's this he should have lost his ability to access the light. And what I mean by that is, well, no, you can't have that. You can't have him do what he does while he still is like, conflicted about what he's doing. Uh, it wouldn't work. That's why Teshi couldn't write him doing that, because if there was like even if he was even having like inner monologues, not even talking to other people about how he felt, maybe you could even show him at therapy, like talking about it with this therapist, and like them explaining like this, that, and the other about how you shouldn't do that, or it's okay to feel frustrated towards people, but you don't have to take action. Like, I think you might have said this before. You can't control how you, well, you can control how you feel, but you can mainly control how you
You
deal with
can't,
those feelings.
yeah. To better put it, like you can't always control your emotions,
Yeah.
but you have to take responsibility for your actions. I think I pointed this out, and um, it's kind of interesting that they decided to not cover timeout because that's where like a lot of this came from, is or where this bit comes from. But it's like you can't like when it comes to mental illness and trauma, you can't there's a lot of things that you can't control, and there's a lot of you can't always control your emotions, you can't always control your feelings, and you sometimes can't control your actions, but you can take control of what you do afterwards. You can control how you feel or how you react to that.
Yeah. I mean,
You
he.
can take responsibility for it, because at the end of the day, and this is what kills Abby the most for me, is that because he doesn't really, he kind of pigeonholes himself into becoming a victim. And that's not to say that, he is responsible for being hurt. It's not like that. But it's that he kind of puts himself into the position where when he gets like confronted, or he feels like where he's being shown that he is in the wrong, he kind of falls back into, well, that I'm doing this because I've been hurt and this and that. And it's just like that's not a good reason. That you can't just pull that every time, and you can't keep doing that, because, well, actually I put this in burnt bridges, but eventually one of these days someone's going to sit you down and tell you that your victim card has just been revoked. But the point I made in timeout was that these actions, like what you do, how you handle these things, how you handle those emotions, how you feel, or how you act, how you respond, how you recuperate, how you take responsibility for those things, that's you, and it has to be you. Because if it isn't you, then that is just your trauma, and you are letting it excuse you. You are letting it become you, and that's not a healthy or right way of handling that sort of. It's not a good way of handling mental illness or trauma. It's a self-destructive path.
Yeah. Uh.
Hmm.
But basically, my point is that he can still feel justified in what he's doing even if he has doubts about it, right? Uh.
Sure. Yeah, you can always self-rationalize your
Yeah.
actions. Yeah,
Am I out of touch? No, it's the kids who are wrong, right? Uh,
kind of.
but the reason I bring up the light is because it's an interesting situation. So the light, this is a thing in Warcraft lore. The light presents itself to anyone that feels strongly about what they're doing, right? Um, if you even if you're gonna do evil, bad things, as long as you strongly believe in what you're doing, the light will present itself to you. And the moment you start getting conflicted, then the light, you can't access it anymore. And so essentially, what they should have done here is a situation where Abby can no longer access that light to justify what he's doing, right? He's so conflicted about it for like split in so many different ways to add a little bit more complexity to what he's doing. He's worried about becoming his father. He's worried that Paulo's gonna, take advantage of Daisy. He's worried about about what other people think of him. He mentions that to date, to Jasmine. He's like, everyone just sees me as like some sort of a monster because of the way I am. And they Teshi doesn't really take that. She kind of does a little bit, but it's like a post-mortem thing. It's like after everything's already happened, and then it's like, well, now why are you having this conversation? Like, let's see a little bit of intrigue with the character. Like once he's already done the thing, it doesn't really matter what happened. The stuff that happens later, his regret about it isn't really as strong as seeing someone conflicted about what they're going to do. But you can't have that because, Abby never really has like an inner monologue. These characters never really have like time to you never get to see their thoughts really. And
Yeah.
once again, that's one of the weakest, parts of BCB is that we hardly ever get to see any of the characters' thoughts, and we hardly ever get to see them justify what they're doing, right? It's very rare. And if we do see it, it's after they've done the thing or as they're doing the thing. And so people are confused because like, well, you didn't really seem to be this way before, so why now? Or why take such drastic measures now? Obviously, like with Mike and Lucy in December, we saw that Mike was obviously kind of getting annoyed with Lucy, but it never really seemed like it was to the point where he would actually scream and yell at her at the top of his lungs. That just comes out of nowhere. It doesn't make any sense. It's like it, and once again with Paulo, like Paulo like teased Abby, but he teases everyone, but he never pushed it to the point of like being malicious, right? He never pushed it to the point of being like a stereotypical high school bully or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just it just keeps happening, right? Anyway, conclusion. First of all, my sincerest thanks if you actually read through the whole thing. You're welcome. If you didn't and just one today too long didn't read, I don't recommend skipping to here, and I certainly don't recommend skipping to the next section after this. Please actually read the doc first. I set out. What's up?
No, I just found it funny. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I set out to make the doc several months ago, possibly longer, because I was tired of having to preface my statements anytime I talked about Abby with what he did was wrong. What he did was wrong, but those kids deserved it. Let's see. I felt I would have been disregarded if I didn't start out by saying he shouldn't have chokeslammed Paulo, but isn't that just a given? Not even the story itself condones him doing that. And even though he had a laundry list of reasons, dare I say justifications to do it, there's no justification for it. That's the thing. It might be justified in his mind, but there is no objective justifications for what he did. That's what the comic is saying. That's what you've admitted the comic is saying. So how could you sit here and say that again?
Like,
Let's see. Of course, I don't, and of course you don't, because everything about that scene is framed in a way where Abby is objectively wrong. I always, I had always felt it was unfair to him. I won't deny that I am a huge fan of Abby, and will have a bias, but I always felt that the scene was just odd. Why did Abby so confidently do this, and seemingly without remorse, when he had a history of being practically scared of his acts of violence, and being actually scared of becoming his father? See, and that's the thing, and then after he does it, he immediately starts being scared about being his, well, not immediately, but like, after the walls come tumbling down and, Daisy dumps his ass, that's when he gets scared about becoming his dad. But if he was thinking about this the whole time, because obviously if he's scared about it afterward, there was something that was in the back of his mind, then why not fucking show that? I think that's what this, obviously that's what this, part of this was about. Why not show those fears beforehand rather than later? Because it does paint Abby as like a one-dimensional villain, right?
Yeah. He's a self-righteous douchebag.
Yeah. And being actually
So in it, and I will say, like, again, it really doesn't do the character any favors. The fact that the big like kind of the big moment where he's talking with Jasmine about it, and his first thing is like, if I'm wrong, then what does that make me? It's like it kind of feels like he's so self-absorbed, and he feels it kind of makes it to where the character feels like they have to be right. They're self-serving in that regard. They are trying to just justify their own actions, and which is never a good thing. I do feel for AgentChimendez here, because it's like, yeah, it's really hard to like justify, like, if you care, if you like these character, her like it's hard to like justify their actions without running into the same trappings that the comic sets up for these characters. It's like it's like the Lucy problem, right? And it's what I've pointed out in in the Burnt Bridges rant, where now if you want to the problem with Lucy at this point in the comic now is that you've boiled down like her if we want to take the retcon at the end of Double Down and uh uh whatever the carnival chapter at its value at face value and be like, okay, yes, like this is they did the thing. They performed the hard R. And now Lucy's character has just become this almost indefensible monster in a way because she did one of the worst things that a person can do. And it's like, well, how do you and if you like this character, if you sympathize with her, like you're just a bad person.
You don't
It's you're justifying
understand.
her own
Mike
actions.
Mike yelled at her. He was mean. Lucy's sad because she has new PTSD about 4 people chasing her down an alleyway.
No.
That's the reason. You can do bad things if you're sad. Like that's something you can just do.
It goes back to the thing. It's like you can't let that shit excuse you. You can't let it define you.
But
It's
it's
just
also in her character to rebound whenever shit happens with Mike, so. But you would have thought she would have learned not to do that, right? Like, wasn't that the whole point of her going away and then coming back and being a better person, that she wouldn't do that? So it's like nothing
theoretically.
happened. She just left and then came back and nothing changed with her. She was worse, right?
Yeah, I mean that was the main criticism when I read After You. It's like she just kind of became this
She became
she
a
be
jaded, cynical asshole.
no, she became this version of herself that people thought she was. Because people in the comic, well, not in the comic, but I mean in the fandom, are always quick to be like, "Oh, Lucy's terrible because she was so mean to Mike and shit." But it's like, yeah, but there's still like, but that's not her entire character. Her entire character isn't being a bitch. It's so much more. It's all these other things that create this character and makes her likable and makes her who she is. That's not the reason that people like Lucy is because she's an asshole to Mike.
No, people
And
sympathize with her. Well, they used
yeah,
to anyway. I mean, some of them still do that now for some
she used to
reason.
be a real person. She used to be a real likable and endearing character.
They all used to be that. Come to think of it, now none of them are like that. Well, Rachel's still like that. I guess Jasmine is also still like that. But everyone else, like, let's be real.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe Daisy a little bit, but guess
Well,
technically
she's
Molly
going
hasn't
to.
done anything wrong. Neither has Amaya.
Well, you're going into characters that aren't real characters.
No, how could you say this about Amaya? Cancelled. It's over. It's over for you.
Ain't done shit. Not real. Like
What?
I'm the guy that likes Carter. I understand the wanting more, but no,
Well, I
it's
waited
not real.
to get some sort of inner thoughts from Abbey. I instead watched him devolve into a caricature of himself, an angry, irrational guy who hates Paulo for the wrong reason, and lamented as I watched the fandom at the time, and in some cases present day, reinforced this idea in often a much harsher way than I phrased here. Once Golden Hour released on Webtoon, I got a second wave of working on this because I realized that all of this was about to happen again. We'd get a new generation of readers who blindly denounce this new Abbey and subsequently forget everything that had led up to that point. And I thought, God damn, I don't want to go through that again. So here I am with an obscenely long doc, which is actually my defense of Abbey Bittersweet Candy Bowl. Here's the thing, isn't it funny how everyone that reads BCB winds up in this exact situation, writing a big ass rant about something they don't like about the comic? Everyone,
Well,
it's like, you know how like the meme is that everything evolves into a crab. Well, every BCB fan evolves into this. This is the end game. Once you hit the several page rant in Google Docs, that's how you know you've really made it as a BCB fan. That's how I know you're into this shit.
uh, well, I feel for them because like they're absolutely right. The more people like get into it, the more you kind of have to justify your reasonings, and the comic does not do any favors for that. Like, I've said this before. Like, I liked Abby. I really did. I liked him and Sue and Daisy and all of them. Because they're supposed to be the smart ones, right? They're the good. They're the nice characters. But like, and so I can understand. Like, yeah, this is. I definitely feel that because I've been there. I did want the best for Abby. I sincerely want, like, I mean, again, to bring it back to my own shit, like, that was at the end of the day what the the balcony scene in January was meant to do, is kind of give this guy a redemption, kind of give him a better future, a brighter future. And I wish that we could have seen that. I wanted to see the best out of him, and I think that's why, like, I personally, and I'm sure some other people also, like, and probably AgentChimendez also feels this way, but like, it's why I kind of hate, I really hate what he's become, because it's just it's just a a caricature. He's not the guy that I liked. He's not the guy that I rooted for. He's just he's been pigeonholed into being something else, to just one facet of his character. Um, Another example of this would be like Matt. It's what I always harp on about his character, or the way that his character has been dealt with, because like he's supposed to be just a guy, like, and that's I pointed that out in the Palo show. Like, that's the main thing I liked about him, is that he's just a guy, and he has this thing to him. It's not like his defining character trait. That's not like who he is. It's not like all that, or it's not all that he is, but it's just a part of him.
See,
And
even I just want to point out, I'm looking at the stuff on Webtoons. Even when it's showing like the reasons why Abbey did what he did to Paulo, people are still not completely on his side. They're saying they're all in the wrong, right? And even this guest of honor page, the one where he does the choke out, someone said, "This is what solidified my hatred for Abbey. Regardless of Paulo's teasing, he did not deserve that. I stopped fucking with Abbey after this one. This man has no control over his insecurities. He swears he's not his father and then does shit like this."
yeah,
The most unrealistic part is that the bathroom of a convention was empty. You know what? I didn't even think about it. This person's
yeah,
absolutely correct. I thought Abbey was
that's great.
supposed to be the nice guy trying not to let his trauma take over. Well, god fucking damn, Abbey, what happened to you? Everyone's focusing on how Abbey is awful and a hypocrite for doing all this, and you are correct, immensely so. But another aspect that no one seems to touch on is that Abbey is also not being respectful of Daisy and reducing her entirely to female must protect. Daisy's too sweet. She can't see how Paulo is bad for her. Wait, Daisy. Oh, he's saying that Abbey thinks Daisy's too sweet. She can't see how bad Paulo is for her. She can't see that he's going to take advantage of her. That's why I have to pull her away from him, threaten him, and assault him with all this to protect Daisy.
Yeah,
Yeehaw! Abbey gets a villain arc. Try having an abusive father who blamed you for tearing your family apart, then having your mother die without you even knowing. Abbey had no right to do what he did, but we could see his thought process. Paulo has used people and degraded women, jokingly or not, in front of everyone many times. Really, he got used more. He got used more by women than he used them. Like, goddamn, what do you think this is? Shit. He
Yeah.
was used for revenge sex. Like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck are you talking about? And yes, Paul has
No.
been used too. Wow, I'm a clown. You know what? I apologize for what I said. RDB II. I was a clown.
Yeah. It's overall, Guest of Honor is just.
Oh, we haven't
It's
finished. We
nice.
still got.
What?
Oh yeah, you're talking about Guest of Honor. Never mind. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Fucking. Um. The whole. It is just. It is truly character assassination. Because now it's like you can't argue, or it's hard to argue that Abbey is still that good person. Because now you're put into a situation where it's like, if you have to, you can't like, the you can't defend him without coming across as excusing his behavior. And you mentioned how like, oh, this is like the natural progression of BCB readers is just making long page docs
Yeah.
to like this. The reason is because like the comic just incentivizes that, because it keeps doing this thing of going back and forth on what it wants to do on how and these characters, and mishandling like the characterizations. The fact that it keeps like going in and being like, we're gonna focus on this aspect of their character, and that's the whole thing. Like that, why do they do this? Because they have this one aspect of their character, and that's the main important thing about that character, and that explains everything about why they are doing the thing that they're doing, even though it really doesn't.
Do you have you ever seen
And so,
those images that people do, and they take like TV series that have been running for a long ass time, and they say, okay, this is who the people were at the beginning, and obviously they're well-rounded three-dimensional characters, and then like, current day the show is completely played out and it's not good anymore, and then they say the characters suck now. Like what, let me see if I can find what I'm talking about. It'd be much easier to explain it. Let's see. There's like one for Family Guy and one for The Simpsons.
mm,
Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Let me open a new tab. Oh, I can't do that. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about here. If you look at the screen real quick.
it's black.
This is it? Oh my god, is it doing that shit again? Uh-oh. Alright, well, we're gonna have to do this, because I don't know, OBS has been having a lot of issues recently, but this is what I'm talking about. Wait, is it black on? Oh, you're looking at the, you're not looking at the
No,
Discord.
I can see it now.
Yeah. So it's like this, right? Like before. Okay, well, obviously some of this is still like, hyperbolic, but still, um, it's kind of like, they used to be like kind of three-dimensional, I guess, like, understandable, but now they've just been boiled down to their most basic essence, because it's just been so long that, and I know that this is because a lot of the writers, the original writers, have left the show, right? So essentially you have fan fiction after that, and in BCB it's not exactly that, but what you're describing is basically this, right? Because now Abbey, oh, he's, instead of being like a complex character that has anger issues, now he's just the angry one, right?
Well, no, it's more than that. It's that they still want to have. Well, Tashi still wants to argue that complexity. Like it's still supposed to be there. That's why we keep going. That's why we have like the chapter that you're talking about right now, where we're retconning shit, because we want to have it both ways. We're like, okay, yes, we pigeonhole them, but also, they're still like, you're still supposed to sympathize with them. They're also still like a cool person, whatever. But they're not, and but on the hand, and but what I wanted to make a point of, and also it's black screen again,
Yeah, I know, I understand.
about
I'm working on it.
about like making these long docs, is that over time, because the complexity builds, because we want natural progress, because we have to make so many because there's so many fucking excuses for these characters' behavior. It's you have to basically get into this you have to get into this sycophantic mental state to understand any of this, to rationalize any of this shit without throwing your hands in the air and just saying, this just sucks. This writing is just bad. Because you don't want to say that because you feel like it's not, because you know that's not true. So we have to dig deeper to figure out, why is it bad? How is it bad? How did we get here? What is the steps? And in order to do that, you have to go all the way back in the process to pinpoint what this is wrong, why this hurts, why does this coming out of Abbey feel like such a betrayal? Why does seeing him do this like stir this problem? Why do I have to keep arguing? Because this comic loves its conflict in both the characters and in the community. I pointed it out in the Bridges part about the Mike versus Lucy argument, that it's like, well, how do you argue, like, which side are you on? Who's right, who's wrong? And yeah, it's like, you can't get into that art on the surface level. The argument's as simple as, well, I like this person, or you like this ship. But if you go deeper into it, it's like, oh no, well, if you like this person, then you like this, and you like that. But you don't. Sometimes you don't want to accept it. And you have to rationalize it. And the only way to rationalize it to cover all your bases. You have to cover all your bases, or else you're gonna look like a fucking idiot who's just like, I like Maluthi. I love Maluthi. And she did nothing wrong. She's a sweet little baby who
Sweet
did
little
nothing
angel.
bad. But you're like, no, because you're smart. You watching this, you're smart. You know that's not the case. It's not the case. So why does this hurt? Why does this feel? Why do you like this character? And yeah, in order to do that, you have to dig this deep. The comic incentivizes this sort of thinking.
All right, well, we still have a little bit left of this doc, and then we'll rope what you're saying to like kind of the afterthoughts about this whole thing.
All right.
This was not written with ire towards the comic as a whole. If I didn't like or didn't care about Bittersweet Candy Bowl, I wouldn't have spent all this time on this doc. You know, I said something very similar right before I got banned from the BCB Discord, just saying. I don't think Agent's gonna get banned, but I have said the same thing about criticisms I've had, and I got in trouble for it. I have seen this comic go in all kinds of places, the highs and lows, and how conflicting the Mike and Lucy conflict was in December. Like I said before, to this day people still adamantly take Mike or Lucy's side, because both have a list of grievances against the other. I know BCB has interesting and dramatic stories already there, and some still waiting to be told, and I saw potential in how this one could have played out. My overall point is not that Abbey did nothing wrong, but that Abbey was done wrong by the narrative. And that's an interesting distinction to make. Like, how do you differentiate between the author fucking up versus a character fucking up, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of the biggest like arguments that people get in the community, right? Because they're like, oh, it feels like the character is doing the wrong thing, or this feels out of character. But then you could be like, wait, no, actually it is in character because of this, that, the other. Well, like, okay, if it's not on the character, then what is it? Is it the author? I don't want to say that. No one wants to fucking point the finger at Tashi.
Yeah, because if you do, you get banned.
No, it's also because we fucking care about her.
Yeah, no, obviously that too. Yeah, but it's mainly you get banned. He was sabotaged from the start. He certainly did think. Well, I think also too, a lot of people really, really like Volume 1, and it's still really good to this day. So it's like people don't want to accept that, like, oh well, it can't be the author that did something wrong because she already wrote something that I really, really liked. So how could things have changed, right? It can't be the author, it's got to be the characters. He was sabotaged from the start. He certainly did things wrong, and I'm not arguing that. It's the second time you said that in the
It's a
same
mirage.
paragraph, but it's how it
I
was
don't know.
handled I had problems with. The goal is not for you to agree with me, even though that would be nice. I pretty much agree with everything you said. Like Abby, everyone has different perspectives, and that's part of life, and it's great. The goal, I suppose, is to make people more willing to analyze what's in front of them. Amazil been
Hmm?
saying this shit since day one. No one listens to Amazil.
When will you learn? I'm right. I'm always right.
Finally, if your takeaway from all this is, yeah, well, Abby still chokeslam Paulo, then I'm afraid you've taken away absolutely nothing. You've wasted time. I don't think anyone's gonna do that.
Yeah.
I think
Well, I
this is
mean, some
creating.
will probably.
I mean, I guess statistically,
It's-
but I feel like this is creating a straw man to still continue to be mad at people for. That
Yeah.
aside, even if you don't agree with my perspective, that you took the time to read what I had to say means a lot to me. Hope we can have even more constructive conversations about the Paulo Abbey conflict. I mean, that conflict's over now. Over now.
No,
It's done. There's nothing else to say.
I
And I hope
fucking
we can
hope
have
so.
more fun analyzing BCB together. I ain't reading all that. Show me the end. Okay, get yashied, idiot. Learn how to accept sincerity for once in your life, you absolute buffoon. Well, that's it. I can't believe we read the whole 100 million pages of this document. Uh, and subscribe to the BCB channel.
Oh,
No, don't do that.
uh,
That was I'm done. I'm done. That was a joke. Might not have been a great joke, but yeah. So what did you think about this entire Google Doc? Do you agree with it wholeheartedly? Are there still parts of it you don't agree with? Do you think it's all bullshit? What's the deal?
no, I understand it. Like, it's definitely like it is an interesting look into like seeing like other people. The I because I personally I haven't really seen it written down this way, or other than my own shit. But like it's I can understand like where this person's coming from because it is such a it's a mentally exhausting sort of story, and it's hard. I can understand like this guy, like, they really want more out of the character. They really want the best out of Abby, and I understand that. It's it's just a big letdown that he never became anything more than his conflict. It's it's hard to it's hard to accept, you know. I don't know how else to put it, but I think I think they did a good job overall. If that's what we want to talk about, like, yeah, they did a pretty good job of like explaining themselves. Maybe they could have like I think we kind of got too sidetracked for a few too. He had a bit of stop and start for me to be like I to get a full comfortable picture. I think it'd be best. I think it'd be best for if you're watching this to go ahead and read the document for yourself, just so you can get a better, clear idea of how this document is supposed to be read. Because I don't think I doubt that it was intended to be read by two rambling idiots. If you do that, just so that you can better idea. I think it'd be best for
Oh no,
them.
I definitely recommend just reading, even if you're watching these streams, and you're like whatever, definitely go check out the document. The link is in the description of this, what will be the VOD for this stream. Go give it some love, go give it some attention, go tell Agent she did a really good job on this.
We love our kings. Well, I guess Queen. I don't know. I don't know anything about this person, but overall, um, I think that this is a really good. I'm excited to see. Like, I hope that they continue down this road in a healthy and constructive manner. I like the way that they are tackling and viewing these issues. I feel like it does a good breakdown and explanation for how they feel about these characters. And I'm sure with time they'll be refined into something even greater, because that's usually how this stuff works, you know. Otherwise, I would really like it. I don't, but on the other hand, I kind of don't want them to. I would love to like have a conversation with them. I think it'd be really interesting to have a proper debate, or not even debate, but like a conversation about the direction of characters and the direction of the comic in general with this person. Like they seem like a really cool person. I
Oh,
think they need to have good
yeah,
construction of
yeah, no,
character.
for sure. I mean, it seems like they still have a lot more to say. I know it's never
Yeah.
gonna happen because of conflict of interest. It might be more possible to do it with you because you're not as like in the public eye of the community, or at least maybe not anymore as I
Yeah.
am right now. Not, and that doesn't mean
I
I'm
don't know.
saying people don't care about you. I'm just saying like there's much less of a taboo around Lieutenant Amazil than there is around Rob. So like you
I
might be
think
able to
it's
do it.
more. I don't know. I may be putting uh, too much self importance upon myself, but I don't know. I feel like the I I'm just one of those old names that it's like it's old that if you know you don't say, and I don't know, but I don't know that again that may just me putting more self being self-absorbed or having too much importance on myself.
Well, we'll
But
see.
I
I
don't
don't
know,
think
it'd
it'll
be neat.
happen. At the very least, they would be stripped of their moderation powers. But
More than likely, I apologize for
yeah, I mean, but it would be worth it. No, it might not be worth it. I don't know. Maybe they don't care anymore. But it would be cool. To have
it'd
them
be
come on and talk
cool.
about this and a few other things, and maybe we could get a little bit more, extrapolate a little bit more that they weren't able to put into the doc, or things that they thought about, after the fact, or maybe even what they think about this new chapter in relation to everything else. But like I said, it'll never happen. I don't even think they even know we're talking about this.
I don't know. I know some people would. But anyway, yeah. Overall, neat doc. I do. I like their sentiment at the end that this is that I would because that people should like the more average reader should take a more not even critical but a more like deeper look into the comic and understanding the characters and stuff, because I can understand like yeah the fucking arguing over Mike Lucy and the characters like over time it's just a fucking drain hearing the same bullshit every fucking time. That yeah, but Abby fucking choke slammed him, so you know I can't get behind it, and you can't just be like, yeah, I can't understand it. It's it's exhausting. It truly is, and I would hope that the more average reader would be able to kind of would be able to look deeper into find the deeper sort of feelings or themes in the comic and to understand these characters more. I don't like the idea. I mean, that's not to say that people should be like, oh, they're so complex. I don't like. I've railed against the fucking comics so artsy fartsy, they're so complex. You gotta you gotta fucking get a PhD in psychology to understand the nuance. It's like just fucking die.
Is it nuanced, or is it just not explained very well? That's
It's
the question, right?
I mean, that's why, like I said, it skirts the line between like good, great, and dog shit, right? Because it's like you can argue either way. It wants to be. It is kind of. It is nuanced. It is because it. That's why like it keeps going into like these deeper themes, these this better stuff. But it doesn't do enough, and it doesn't do enough with that to really feel like to get the most out of it, you know. And that's why I've always argued like as readers, as the viewer, like you should be asking for more, and we should be like I think that we should hold not Teshi necessarily, but the comic to the not even just a higher standard, but the standard that it sets for itself to properly like see its these themes and ideas through to a satisfying conclusion. Because at the end of the day, that is the big problem with BCB. Could the Abbey Slam be like done in a more respectful way? Absolutely. It absolutely could have, and it definitely should have. But there's no reason to do that for from a writer standpoint when we have so much that we want to do and we want to set up so many things. It's like it's very confused. I don't know.
Yeah, this was a really well put together Google Doc. They tell that months of work did go into this, and you can. It was probably very cathartic to write something like this. I understand, you know, and you understand, you know, more than anyone that getting all your grievances out about these things that are happening in the comic, it feels so good to just you get all the evidence, you sit down, you put it on the table, and you say, this is why this shit's bullshit. And I remember when I did the why Eternal Flame doesn't work video. That was so good. That felt you can't even know how good it felt to make that video. It was like, ah, God, like you. Double Toasted has a weird rating system for movies. Like they don't give them numbers. Their highest rating is better than Sex, and I would give making that video and putting it out was better than Sex. That's the rating I would give that. Uh, this document is very interesting. It's not really something that I super thought about before, and this brought a lot of light onto a section, a subplot that I didn't really care much about. I didn't really care much about Abbey. I hate Abbey a bit. I think he's kind of stupid. I know I said my favorite part of New Year's resolution was the Abbey and Paulo hanging out, but I don't know if that's because I thought it was a fun dynamic and more about we finally got a conflict resolved for once, and we're actually getting to see new and interesting things happen because of it, which is amazing. Who would have guessed that you can do new and interesting things if you resolve conflicts? I mean, shit, what is this, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
I will say like this stock has, it's at least for me, like it has, it brought back like the memories of like what I wanted from this character, because once again, like I didn't have any like they were supposed to be in False Idol, like that they were supposed to be in the fucking sequel, and then I was like, actually no, fuck this character because of, and actually that is one thing that I did want to point out is like while the focus here is a lot on Guest of Honor. I said it before, like Guest of Honor wasn't what killed Abbey for me. It wasn't. It was Golden Hour, and seeing him be like, "Oh no, this is why you're doing this. Oh, you're just a fucking asshole. Like this is just bad." Like, because there is so much. I've always liked the idea that, or well, okay, let me put it this way, right? It's why do we like sob stories? Why do we engage with and consume quote unquote depression porn? Why do we give a shit about why are we so invested in these in characters who have like traumatic experiences and these deeper themes? The ultimate reason is because we want to see them get better. We want to see them push through their problems. We want to see how this shapes out. We all have that hope in our hearts that somehow, some way, this is gonna be worth it. That all the pain, all that shit, it's going to culminate into a good idea, into a happy ending. And in Abbey, the problem here, the real big problem with Guest of Honor and Golden Hour and all the things that this person has put forth is that it really painted the picture that we were not going to get that happy ending in Abbey. We weren't going to see him. Seeing him throat punch Paolo felt like it was just this is his end. Like there's no way he can come back from this. And if this was what his redemption, what all that fucking therapy, all those heartfelt moments of him spending time with Daisy and airing his problems about like fuck and showing his problems with his family, if this is what it culminated into, then how is the end going to be worth it? You know, it's what's really heartbreaking about Abbey as a character is that he will not, this is as good as it gets for him now. He's not gonna be with his girlfriend. He's gonna fuck up his own relationship, and he's not gonna fucking learn for like 5 years. And even then, it's gonna be too little, too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there you go. 178 pages in the bag. I look forward to the next one, and it seems like we are going to get some sequels to this. So I actually am very excited to see what else. I think we're all
Yeah,
on the same
Jasmine
page
X
here.
Abbey.
I think everyone or most people in the BCB community are on the same page, whether they say it out loud or not. There might be a lot of people that think these sort of, criticism things towards the comic, but don't necessarily express that for, reasons. They don't want to be perceived as like not liking the comic. There does seem to be this sense of you either like all of it or you hate all of it.
Yeah.
Or at least that's, kind of the environment that gets stoked up around it. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily that. It's a mixed bag. It's a bittersweet candy bowl, if you will. But damn, I wish we could get Agent on the show, but it's just not gonna happen, unfortunately. Amazil, I haven't forgotten, by the way. I never forget. What that song? You said the main character song. Did I end up playing that? I don't think I ended up
No,
playing
we
it.
didn't play that at the end.
Yeah.
The last
So
episode.
if you can send that to me, then we will play that. Oh no, it's already here. I found it. Will Wood, the main character.
Yeah.
Well, is that everything you want to say about it?
I guess one last note I want to give to AgentChimendez directly is that you know what, whatever comes out of this, like who knows, I'm hoping for the best on this one, but prepare for the worst. But like you're right. Like I see you. I understand. And I think you executed your ideas very well, and it really showcases like I think you were very fair and rational about this. And I don't think you could have done this any better than you could have. At least currently. Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, sure, you're gonna probably find a better way to write as time goes on.
she could
Better
have
way to
made a
compose
video
your ideas.
maybe, but
Yeah,
that would
not
be a lot.
everyone,
That
not everyone's okay with like putting their voice out, and a lot of people like have problems like just kind of speaking and free floating their ideas out.
well, that's why you
Yeah,
write a script and then you make the video. You read the.
yeah,
That's what
but
I
you
do.
know it's a thing. But whatever.
I'll
The
read
point
it.
I want to
I'll
make
read it for
is,
you.
oh God, that was also a thing. But the point I want to make is, and this is a quote that I had because I recently went back and rewatched like some of my old rants, and in one of them I had laid out a little nugget of insight that if you whatever you choose to do, like don't do it for redemption. Don't do it to find like some sort of self-worth or validation that's fleeting from people that don't really care. You do it for you. You do this. I I think we tried to say this before, but like those that hate the comic or like quote unquote hate the comic, like we're not. You don't hate something because it's cool or because that's just like the fun thing. Because you want to be angry. You do it because you love it. And you do it because if it's because you have something to say, and say it. If you have something to say, you should say it. Say it with your whole heart, say it as best as you fucking can. And so because when this is over, and it will be over, this comic is gonna fucking end. I can guarantee you that one way or another, it's
I
gonna
mean,
fucking end.
technically, yeah. Even if it takes the heat death of the universe, right?
Yeah. But even then, like at the very least, you should be able to say to yourself, look in the mirror and be like, you know what? Even if it wasn't worth it, you got what you want. Get yours, and you say all that you want to say. Because at the end of the day, that's all we got.
Yeah. One more thing. This is not related to anything, but this image right here, which by the way has inspired me to write another Tales from the Candyverse story. Uh,
What is this?
so when this came out, everyone was like, "What? How is this possible? How is an interspecies, same-sex child even possible? Who was the father? Who was the mother in this situation?" And then Scrunch had to come out quickly and say, "This is not impreg."
Oh, that's just coward talk. Don't believe her.
Oh, wait,
Wait, who did you say this was?
What?
Did you say this is Scratch?
Scrunch Mew.
Oh, dang.
She voices Tess in the dub, and Molly.
Oh, I thought it was our boy Scratch.
If it was Scratch, yeah, it'd probably be impreg. But in a hypothetical situation, which one is the pregnant one? Who's carrying the baby? I think Paulo. I'm gonna have my money on Paulo.
No, everyone. Well, given the emotions and typically, you know, you're supposed to, I forget what it's called, skindred or something like that. Like you're supposed to hand the baby off immediately to the mother so that they can imprint on them. Like it's a big thing about nursing shit. Yeah, but whatever.
And anyway, Paulo has childbearing hips of the comic anyway, so it's probably him, right? Yeah, this is a good picture. But it inspired a fanfic that I am currently writing. A nice little one-shot about this concept. Not impreg. Don't worry about that. I'm not that degenerate.
Howard.
I have something even better planned. It's going to be amazing. Maybe not amazing, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be like no story ever written before. That's what I like to do. I like to write stories that have not been written before, right? If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
A daring blend of science and forbidden science and off-the-grid science.
Oh my god, dude, that just that just reminded me of another thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I don't know if I've talked about this before, but there was like this one idea that I had where it was Sue and McCain, and because well, it's supposed to be like a two-parter. The first parter is like a like straight romance thing about Sue and McCain like in college, like trying to work it out, and like maybe go into different ways. Like maybe Sue tries to find someone else, and it doesn't work, and they realize like, oh, they're both meant to be with each other. And it's like, but I can't have babies. Like whatever. Like it's fine. But I thought of like one whack ass like crack shit where it's like, what if they did? Like, what if they were like, we're gonna fucking try. We're going to like get into like medical shit. We're gonna fucking put our best foot forward to make this thing happen. And like they go to a lab and they're like, all right, you want to fucking do this? All right, let's fucking do this. We're gonna try it in various ways. We're gonna try cloning. We're gonna try like incubation. We're gonna try this. Whatever happens, we're gonna try it. We're gonna see what works. And it's like, or we're gonna try, and we're also gonna try like natural birth as well, and see what can make it, what will work. And the idea is that they got the end of it. Like it actually somehow works. They're like, I don't fucking know how this happened. She actually just got pregnant. Fuck. Okay, now it's like, okay, well, what? Shit. Now that they're pregnant, like, what is gonna happen? Like, how's the baby gonna be? Is it gonna be like an abomination? Like, what? We are playing with God. We're playing God right now. Oh my god. And then it comes out like completely fine. It's like, yeah. And they show the baby, and he says, and it's like, oh, talking to the press, like, hey, so what do you think of this baby? Oh, this baby is like an affront to God. You've created an abomination. And so Sue just pulls out the baby. It's like, and the baby says, shut up, shut it. And then that's the end. That's the joke. And that's the way that ends.
Amazing.
Just silly.
Well, okay, I guess that's it. We're gonna let this awesome main character song play us out, and thank you guys for watching. I guess we're gonna go back to the normal Donde Estalucy blog adventures next or the next 2 weeks. Another spicy Google Doc drops, and I'm counting on you, the audience, to leak that to me. No, I can't ask you to leak shit to me, but it'll eventually come around to me at some point. Somebody will give it to me, and yeah, all right. Let's do it to it. Boop 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 boop. Okay.
I'm that first person they talk about in all the books. I'm that perspective you cannot doubt. See how I look. Control the narrative reliably. Baby, it's all about me. And I wrote the book about throwing the book at those who don't do it by it. So now I'm holding myself hostage. Stockholm lusters looks like justice, and enough lefts don't make the right, but two wrongs, two. Old man, son, Sue would love this. Beating my dead high horse off the high road to low ground. Cause if you shake your fist at snakes and grass, it looks like punching down. So God forbid I'm seen just as an average human being. I mean, imagine if protagonists just died in the first scene. I'm the gap between a tragedy and comedy. Don't come at me, I'm the main character and you have to like me. I loot plot armor from NPCs.
to me. Trite tropes, traits, dramas, trinkets, and treats. It's all XP. Look in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's super ego. The underdog gets your foe. Villains are everywhere. That's how I know that I'm the hero. So tie me to the train tracks, laughing snidely, twist your mustache snidely, whiplash for is bad enough. Ignore me's bad enough. Where do you get off? That's Vidania, darling. Daleks in high collars monologue, and I outsmart them with the recommender squeal. So God forbid I'm seen just as an average human being. I mean, imagine if protagonists just died in the first scene. I'm the gap between a tragedy and comedy. Don't come at me, I'm the main character and you have to like me. Judge me by what my cover shows. Author becomes beyond reproach. You don't know the prose or if the spine is still intact. Oh, like Alice fell to Wonderland, come AstroTurf my Overton, embolden my demand to live by the alternative facts. Her Majesty, says the royal we, demand a standard of loyalty, an agreement to be reverent, lick the Emperor's new boots. The court fool got in the guillotine, the witch is the stake, you the dopamine, and Siemens made the Zyklon B, but we all still get the flu. We all do what we need to get through. It's nothing new. But I ain't done a fucking thing to you. So God forbid I'm seen just as an average human being. I mean, imagine if antagonists lacked any evil skin.